What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another week of UFC action. An awesome week we have ahead of us with UFC 285, an historic pay-per-view coming up. We got the return of John Jones, for God's sake, after 3 years off, finally making that long-awaited trip to heavyweight, taking on Cyril Gane. So, co-main event, of course, Shevchenko versus Grasso. We just saw Shevchenko come as close as possible to losing that belt in her 7 title defense reign. Let's see if Alexa Grasso can pick up the pieces where Taila Santos left off. 14 fights still on this card. I don't think anything has been canceled so far. And always for these big pay-per-view weeks, man, I'm always so nervous that things will be, 14 fights. Something's got to fall off. Weight cut, sickness, Duran Wynn falling on the stairs, something of that nature. But hopefully it won't be something crucial to this card. But what is crucial to this card is I've got an awesome guest tonight. One of my better friends in this MMA betting space, I would say. My guy Dale from the Punchlist MMA podcast. Awesome dude to shoot this shit with, my kind of people. And he's kind enough to join us right after he just interviewed Drew Dober on his channel. So all of Dale's links are in the description below, including his Spotify, because this guy is basically the Howard Stern of like the MMA podcast world. Something you can just listen to on your way to work with a cup of coffee. He's got a golden voice, really good at just making even the most, basic banter really entertaining to listen to. So without further ado, let me bring in my guy Dale from the Punchlist MMA podcast. How you doing, Dale?
Dude, what's up, man? That was quite the intro. I feel good about that one, man. I'm feeling hyped, right? I believe half chopped up, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, you deserve every piece of it, man. How was talking to Drew Dober?
It was great, man. Drew's one of my people. Whenever I first started podcasting years ago, I took a guerrilla approach to try to interview anybody that would sit down and talk to me. And, whether it was Linton Vassell way back in the day, getting the Swarm on, Chris Lieben, any of these guys that said yes. Drew was amongst the first. And I literally talked to him before every fight. And then what's great is he comes on immediately after the fight. So we get to talk to him while the blood's still dripping and break down how things went in the cage. So he's good people, man. I love that guy.
Are these people do you pick people when they come off of a win, or are you okay with getting them in their bad moods? Have you talked to Drew after like a loss or something like that?
Dude, he came on my show immediately after Islam beat him. Immediately. Okay. That was, I talked to him before the Islam fight. I messaged him after. I said, hey, man, you don't have to come on the show on Tuesday if you don't want. And he goes, what are you talking about? We're talking. And he came on and we literally spoke about it. And then the clips from that show, they showed on Russian media. So I got a bunch of, heat from the Russians because I continued to talk shit about Islam even after he beat Drew, because that's my man. Yeah. Dude, I ride with you win or lose, man. If you're my people, you're my people. That's the way we roll.
I mean, as far as the losses, they're always crushing for these guys, but at least it's Islam Makhachev. There's certain fighters where it's like, if Islam, if, John Jones, like if any of these people beat you, I'm sure with these guys too, when they lose to a fighter like that, like they're probably rooting for them further on the road because they're like, shit, I want this guy to be as credible as possible if I have, one of my rare losses to him, right?
Yeah. We just talked about that because Alexander Hernandez picked up a victory recently and Drew has the knockout win over him. And I said, Alex isn't training in Colorado now. So when you see him, is it good spirits? Do you have any animosity towards him? He goes, no, man. He goes, every person he beats after me makes me look better.
Yeah,
so, I hope he wins every fight.
Yeah, man. So we'll get into this card. I'll shout out the chat real fast. First in the room, my guy Mushroom, good old Bobby Glansman. Everybody go check out his YouTube too. He's new to the scene. Not new to betting, not new to mixed martial arts, not new to Twitter. But as far as putting out his own content on YouTube, that is a new channel. So check that out as well. My girl Jenna Marie in the chat, the certified gem of MMA Twitter. And she went out and got bubbles for the occasion. Let's go. Got some champagne on deck. Let's get it. Papa Chuck in the house. My guy Lou Bet. Yeah, I'll be doing his prop show in the coming days as well. My guy Matt in the house. Adam Brew, Boston Brew Bets. Good to see you in here. 2 podcasts on a school night. It is going to be a rough one tomorrow for sure. Couch Warrior Podcast, my guy Mike. And that's a good segue into, I will have another stream tomorrow on this channel. I'm co-hosting my panel for the pay-per-view week, a tradition that myself and Couch Warrior have started for these numbered events. And we're going to be having 2 guests, Ben the Bane Davis and Uncle Weezy with us tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time on this channel. So check that out. We'll go into this fight card all over again with some new opinions. And we got Austin in the house. Daz Files, what's going on? Non-addictive. Ryan. Oh man, we got everybody in here. This is a good one. James,
Yeah.
a guy who loves beer from the Punchlist channel itself. Let's go.
I love
and
it.
Speaking of your channel, dude, I know that you were kind of restarting the YouTube part of your channel. So everybody go and check out the description. There is an easy link to Dale's, YouTube channel.
Can I put a caveat in here real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not gonna hijack your show to promote myself here at all.
No, please. That's why you're here.
Well, listen. So I had a YouTube channel, and then I had a co-host. He left. The YouTube channel got deleted. That's fine. I started over from scratch. Also fine. Most recently, if you're going to subscribe, do the one with my logo, like the fancy logo that somebody spent money on that looks nice, because there's these two fucking cucks that exist somewhere out there right now that are using my name and have created a YouTube channel and then bought like 2,500 Pakistani followers. So the algorithm, when you search Punchlist, shows them in their videos. So they're trying to do this Punchlist MMA thing. I've already reported it to YouTube, and I've left them many.
It's your but it's also your logo as well.
It's not my logo. It's their logo,
gotcha.
But they're calling themselves the Punchlist MMA Podcast. Which, again, last thing I'm going to say, I legally own the name because I'm not dumb. When I started podcasting, I filed an LLC so I can claim everything on my taxes. And I have this name. I own it, and I will sue you if you use it. And I've tried to tell them this. So here we are. Make sure you use the actual Punchlist logo if you're going to subscribe. Your show, Patrick. Let's go.
Good. No, and I put your Spotify as well in there too. You're one of these guys that does the sound only version, so I put that in there. There's no mistake in that, direct from the source. So yeah, let's get into these 14 fights. We're going to try to cruise a little bit efficiently through like the prelim part and get to the real meat of this card because I know you've got some opinions on the main card. There's a lot of like notable names on here as well, so it'll be fun to have a guy who's been watching this sport for a long time really dig into the history of some of these guys, especially that main event. But we got this I think it's the shortest notice fight on this card in the prelims. Radzhabov taking on Esteban Ribovics, and these are two debuting fighters at 155. Radzhabov is notorious for going to the finals, coming up as the runner-up for 2 years of the PFL championships. And I think he was supposed to be on The Ultimate Fighter, if I'm hearing this correctly, and then they pulled him and put him on this, just a direct flight to the UFC. Esteban Ribovics is a guy from Argentina who is 11-0, all finishes, 6 knockouts, 5 subs, and he's making his debut as well, but he's coming off the Dana White Contender Series. I mean, he's got massive power, but just not a strong resume. At least the stronger resume comes from Radzhabov, and as such, he is a pretty sizable favorite. I think like a minus 270 favorite for Radzhabov. Esteban Ribovics is a plus 230 underdog. I mean, I think the money line is wide. You know what I mean? Like Radzhabov has been in 5-round fight after 5-round fight. Good wrestling, good grappling, but not always eager to use it initially. He will strike it out. But it's like, even though you've been to the PFL and you've made it far, we've had guys that have went like 0-4 in the UFC and make it to the PFL championship, will win the $1 million. I'm looking at you, Antonio Carlos Jr. But I mean, what do you think about this? What do you think about this fight? Because I like Radzhabov here just overall, but I'm not going to bet on it.
Dude, I mean, well, one, I think you have to weigh the level of the nicknames here, right? I mean, you're talking about Jaguar Paw versus El Gringo, which are like two of the most like passive aggressive, nicknames that are out there. But here's the thing, man, is that we have seen the crossover success of UFC to PFL doing rather well, but we haven't really seen it come back the other way. At least not notably in that sense. Now, Radzhabov, as far as I'm concerned, though, has the better, he's got the better quality wins. And I think mostly you're just looking at the Chris Wade fight. I mean, that's if you can beat Chris Wade, I'm favoring you against most debuting fighters because Chris Wade is absolutely quality. And we have the Dana White Contender Series jinx in play here as well. So I actually like, as far as props go, even though what honor did I bestow on you yesterday? I know you're the patron saint of props, but I
was like the Odysseus of over-unders or something.
The Odysseus of over-unders, the mountain of MMA. Yeah, dude. I get all the superlatives, bro. You get them all.
From a props side of things, what do you like on this one? I don't even know where it's set. Is it set over under 2.5? Yeah, it is. The over 2.5 plus 105.
So,
I mean, the way that these guys have fought before, I mean, it's like Ribovics, he's gotten some good submissions. Radzhabov never been to a decision in his life. I think been to a third round pretty seldom as well. He's got like 6 round 1 finishes.
Yeah, I like fight doesn't start round 3, and you can get that at almost near money -110 range. So, first fight of the card, short notice, guys going out there trying to make a name for themselves, angry, animosity, violence to start it off. Pay-per-views are always recipes for violence. Let's just lean into it right up the
Yeah.
front. As long as Chris Tognoni doesn't have his bald ass in there, this one should end right when it's supposed to, right around the 6-minute mark. So let's get after it.
Who do you favor to get the finish?
Loic. It's Loki, but spelled differently. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Radzhabov. Let's get after it.
I like it. I tend to agree with that. I wonder if it's going to be by submission or. I mean, the guy just seems very. I know he's been in 5-round fights, so that changes the tempo of like what you tend to go after, and he's been facing some pretty good guys. But like I said at the top, there's just such a skill gap here between a guy in Ribovics who's untested off the contender series at 26, and then Radzhabov who's faced some upper level competition. Then his last fight was an Eagle FC a little over a year ago, where he fought kind of a tomato can opponent and put him away. So there's just like a big gap. I feel like Ribovics is going to be somewhere in the middle, but ultimately lose. I just feel like the money line's a bit wide, especially for that short notice. But yeah. I agree with you there. I like the fight doesn't start round 3 and the unders too. You're right. All the pay-per-views always tend to start with the first fight of the night, violent as hell and just reckless.
Right off the rip, man. We got a bloodshed from the very beginning. Also, not to mention that Radzhabov's from Tajikistan. So, I mean, how many Tajikistani fighters do we have? Caucasus Mountain Warriors, bro. Let's get after it.
Yeah, I like it. Do we have that one kid recently? Who am I thinking of? I've totally wiped my brain of the last fight. Did we just have a kid off the... Who am I thinking of? Who's Tajikistan?
Tajikistan, right. It sounds like a made-up place, right? It sounds like someplace Borat.
Wasn't that kid last week who opened up the card against Alves? Wasn't he a Tajik fighter as well?
Oh, he might have been. That bit his finger. He bit his finger, dude. What the hell was that, bro?
Yeah.
Narut or whatever his name was, dude. Yeah.
Narulo. Yeah. That was so funny.
The Tajikistani waves coming in. Yeah, dude. So Austin in the chat says, yeah, he's from Tajikistan. So the Tajikistanis are taking over, bro. Let's get after it.
I like it. All right, we're on the same side of that one. And moving on, we have a very exciting Dana White Contender Series prospect in Farid Basharat, younger brother of Javid Basharat, also undefeated. Also, kind of fights the same, where he's got like such an arsenal of weapons to choose from as far as the stand-up goes. Good timing, good feints, and just very fast. And he can also switch to that grappling game plan. Taking on Damon Blackshear, who we saw from the CFFC, and he came in against what's that guy's name? Yusuf Zalal last summer on short notice, I believe it was, and went to a draw, but it wasn't one of those draws where it's like you were scratching your head who won the fight. Like it seemed like it was going to be a Zalal. It seemed like it was headed to a draw, maybe, but at the moment, I thought Zalal was going to win the fight. I thought he had edged out at least one of those first 2 rounds, and then got the 10-8 in round 3. So that's why I ended up two judges score that draw. So I was a little bit disappointed, but I was also driving when I was watching that fight. So I was driving home from a meet, so I had like 3 hours of a drive on the highway where I'm just like watch the fights on cruise control, and I was confused as to why that was a draw. But it made sense upon the rewatch. Both guys very young, but I'm favoring Farid Basharat, and he is a -500 favorite here. I just think he's got more weapons, and Blackshear tends to find himself on the mat a lot. He does have good jiu-jitsu, but I feel like Basharat's going to be wise to all the tricks in the guard of Blackshear, and then just dominate on the feet. What do you think about this one? Are you rooting for Blackshear here? Do you see a path for him that's going to be successful?
Actually, so this is anybody that knows me knows I'll ride or die with my opinion. So this is where I look either really stupid right off the rip, or I end up looking Oracle-like. But I think plus 300 and above, Blackshear is worth your consideration as far as the bigger dogs on this card go. Basharat is, I mean, listen, I'm not going to say he's not good. I'm not going to say he's not talented. He's obviously very flowy. He moves very well. He's got weapons everywhere, just like his brother. However, quality of opponent, though, doesn't really compare. And Blackshear really, presents good cardio, good wrestling, and he's just sound enough that he probably won't do anything too stupid. So if you look at the Basharat brothers, they need you to not that they need you to do something stupid, but they depend on you doing something stupid, right? Like if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly, the last Basharat brother, he was like, for him to finish inside the distance was like the -180, -200 range. And if I'm not mistaken, was on everybody's card that they wanted to see him win. and it's just not. It doesn't shake out the way you think it's going to.
Right.
I'm on Blackshear here. I think he's worth a stab. He's a tough New England kid with good wrestling, and he's got 8 sub wins, 1 knockout win. He can get it done either way. I think there's something that comes from the fact of if you're used to winning easily and you're met with adversity, some folks crack and crumble. And we very rarely see 2 talented brothers. Very rarely see.
There's always a B side. There's always an A side and a B side.
Correct. Yep. So I think we're about to see the B side. So that O's got to go.
Damn, I like that. I'm not surprised to hear you say that because it is a giant money line attached to somebody like you said. That I'm always wary of these guys that are around that 25 and younger age that are undefeated early in their career, because they have to, a lot of times before you become super great and elevate yourself to the ranked fighter category, like you have to have that one loss that makes you say, okay, got to go back and rethink about things, and maybe I don't fight so recklessly, or I fix something like a hole in my game. I still like the well-rounded skill set of Basharat here. And Damon Blackshear, like, what was with that last fight? He was taken, I know it was short notice. I believe it was short notice.
It was, but
yeah. And he's got such a good scramble ability too. Like, he always manages to find top position or get your back, at least pre-UFC. A good rear naked choke ability, good ability to get those hooks in. And he is explosive on the feet too, and been pretty durable, right? Right. I don't think he's never been put out by strikes.
No, he's not. He's never been submitted either. So yeah, if you're going to beat him, it's by decision. So, and if you look at his losses, right? Danny Sabatello, who we know now is somebody that's actually talented, right? And losses to Pat Sabatini. And really, as far as bad losses go, the only bad loss he has is Chris Montino. Yeah. I mean, that was back in 2018. So,
I don't remember watching that fight. I didn't watch it in the preparation for this card, but I watched it probably last summer. Anything noteworthy on that, or was it just like he's leveled up since then?
He just leveled up, man. We're you just get better, right? You put in the reps and you get better. The other thing about Blackshear too, and I mean, obviously, look at you take up the entire frame here. Big physiognomy guy here. Blackshear has that turtle shell, like the lat turtle shell. He's got like the, you know what I mean, which brings in the power. And dude, he's able to generate stability and power even when he's in a disadvantageous position. Again, we're going to talk about quite a few plus 300 and beyond dogs where there's a lot of heavy favorites here. I'm not like standing that Blackshear is going to walk over this, but he's worth consideration.
I was going to ask you at some point towards the end of all of these big favorites, which one do you think is most likely to shit the bed here? So I think I got one of my preliminary answers early on.
Maybe yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's something I got to look into more. I do like what I see from Basharat. I'm on that side. No big surprise. He's a minus 500, but I haven't done anything betting wise with that fight yet. So I'll dive more into Blackshear and see. I like that take. Do you think he gets it done inside the distance, or you're thinking decision here for Blackshear?
I think it comes at if he gets a finish, it comes at the level of exhaustion from Basharat trying to throw the kitchen sink at him and have it not work. So we get a round 3. I would almost go Blackshear round 3 decision prop. So just let that ride. I'll see if I can find the odds on that. But him round 3 and decision would be sweet if it's out there. So anyway, that's where I'm.
I like that. Yeah. That's something to look into, yeah, because that is always a good prop against these guys that have not been tested so much, like in Basharat. But we got a rescheduled match up next on the prelims between Jessica Penne and Tabitha Ricci at women's strawweight here. This was supposed to take place, I think, back in like September, October of last year, and now it's been rescheduled. And both women have had a birthday since then. Now we're looking at a Jessica Penne, who's 40 years old, Tabitha Ricci, 28. Always undersized, but still very explosive, gets in range well. And I mean, I'm still on the Ricci side, but the problem is, Dale, is like, what happened?
No, I'm just laughing, man, because I'm just go for it, dude. This is a good fight. Let's go.
Dale, if you have a joke for the class, you can feel free to speak up.
I will whenever it's my turn. I got you. Go ahead, man.
You giggle more than Johnny K. Picks. Where's he at? Get Johnny in here.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, between these two, my problem with this fight right now is just the money line has moved because they reopened it after they saw where all the money went the first time, and now they're, instead of me getting minus 185, minus 190 like I did last fall, now I'm looking at minus 275 or more on Tabitha Ricci, who I do like in this fight. And yeah, my God, she's minus 280, minus 290 on a lot of books. So not something I can really touch. And I'm not sure if it finishes inside the distance or not. I think Ricci will use her skill with the judo and the BJJ to take it to the mat, hold it there, and just do better work. Even at distance, the striking is, I think, in her favor too. What do you think about this? Is Penne a threat, like an armbar for back threat, or is Ricci above that?
I think if Penne wins, it comes via decision. I don't think that she finishes her, right. I mean, you're looking at somebody in Jessica Penne that, while she does have quite a few submission wins, I mean, she's getting them against really low level competition. It's just not something that we're that you should really hang your hat on. And like you said, she's 40 years old, man. It's one thing to be a woman mixed martial artist. It's something else to be a 40-year-old woman mixed martial artist, especially one that's had 2, or if not 3, very sizable layoffs in your career. I mean, she had the whole USADA thing with the supplements and all this other stuff. I just can't possibly, in good confidence, go, oh, Jessica Penne all day, right? I can't do it. What I can say, though, is that on the list of female fighters that should be minus 250 and greater in any fight, Tabitha Ricci is not on that list. She shouldn't be. There's only a handful of women that should be that heavy of a favorite in anything. The skill disparity in women, it's so small, man. And this is where I sound completely sexist here, but it really is.
Well, it's similar to, I feel like it's similar. You could just say that you could say that about, just the weight classes in general,
right.
Like lighter weight classes for men, when there's not that finishing potential, then of course it becomes closer just by nature of decision.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And anytime you're that close to getting the judges involved, it's worth a small gamble on the judges getting it wrong. How often do we see them get it wrong? I mean, it used to be the occasional cry of robbery, right? Like it used to be the Diego Sanchez versus Ross Pearson. That's what it took for people to cry robbery. But now we get one a week. Look at last week with how did you score the Ode Osborne fight? Did you score that for Ode?
I thought he could have won that fight. Yeah, I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was that like agreed. Like I wasn't surprised by it, to be honest. Right. I really didn't know who won that fight either. Like it came down to, I thought the takedowns mattered in that fight because I thought it was close enough on the feet. So I thought that was effective grappling, and he had effective striking too. Nothing really happened that like favored one guy over the other.
Right.
But you know what I mean. So it was like there's some where I agree. I wouldn't be surprised either way. Right. Like sometimes, and Kyle Miller from Never Hedge Media just did a really good piece on that whole thing. He dove really deep into, what parts of this are subjective, and that's kind of where I agree that a lot of it is, how you score impact or damage or effective grappling or whatever. It's very subjective. So, but yeah, you're totally right. There's just naturally it's going to be a closer money line when it's not going to finish.
Yeah, I call it women's science, but I generally believe that most women underdogs are worth playing. I mean, obviously within reason, but from a unit management perspective, if you're into the whole unit management thing, most women are worth a small sprinkle. There are very clear paths to victory, especially if we get like a specialist in some way versus somebody that can't do anything at all, where you should just stay away or consider a prop. But by and large, where you have a woman like Jessica Penne who has decent submission defense because she has good submission offense, and Tabitha Ricci, who does not have good hands but has good submissions. If you're really banking on Ricci's jiu-jitsu game being that much better than Jessica Penne's, good on you. But realistically, I think we're probably just seeing a very sloppy, tired, weird ass scramble, half guard, full guard type of fight here, and we're going to get 15 minutes of Tabitha Ricci barely holding on with the occasional flurry from Jessica Penne, and it's worth a spot. I
like Tabitha Ricci's striking. I think she does very well with getting in range, and as we saw with Jessica Penne's, I believe it was her last fight last year. She got pieced up by Emily Ducote, who's didn't have a great record. She looked amazing. She destroyed the legs of Penne in that fight, if I remember correctly. And then she goes on to basically quit after round 1 against Angela Hill and just kind of fall apart. So that's not a good loss. That didn't age very well for Penne. And Ricci, I feel like the only way that she's going to gas herself out is if she goes for a million takedowns like we've seen her do in the past. Like she's landed like she has to take her little frame and muscle around somebody like 6 times for giant slam takedowns. And then she tires herself out by round 3. So as long as she doesn't do that, I think she's good in this fight.
I can get on board. Again, I'm with it. I think do you know what the odds are on fight go to decision? I feel like that's probably it's like betting an under in at like a sports ball
The
game.
over 2.5 in this fight on Bet Online is -320.
Oh gosh, never mind. Just stay away.
Goes
Dude.
the distance -290.
Dude, no,
Yeah.
just use this
That's
fight to like fill up your plate and get another beer. Don't touch this one.
Yeah, it's tough. So especially strawweight. Like even if you're looking at the unders, you'd want somebody who's really going to fall into a submission for sure to even play that. You know, so
I'm good here.
That's what we call women's science over here at the Punchlist crew. All right, I like it.
Women's science, baby. So
moving on, a couple weight classes up to bantamweight now. We've got Mana Martinez taking on Cameron Saaiman, and I feel like we just saw Cameron Saaiman fight on a couple of pay-per-views ago, right? Like the end of December, he fought.
We did, yeah.
I think he made his debut against Stephen Koslow. Obi-Wan Kenobi the Pillow was that guy's nickname. Since you like talking nicknames.
Yeah, I love nicknames, man. Yeah.
I was telling somebody the other day, I think it was Lou Bet. Yeah, I'm like, dude, Bruce Buffer deserves a raise for having to use his golden voice to voice that nickname. Like he deserves a bonus.
Although I will say this, there are nicknames that Bruce won't say. There's somewhere he won't say, like Dakota Harry Bush. He didn't
say that?
He did not say Harry Bush. He just said Dakota Bush.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cheating, dude.
That's
Take his
what I'm
bonus
saying.
away. He should have to read whatever he doesn't. Who gives him the authority on that? I know it's Bruce Buffer, for God's sake, but
dude, Dana White will veto your walkout music.
What do you mean veto your like he just
like he won't
doesn't like the song, so he won't let you play it? What do you mean?
So Anderson Silva, he always walked out to "Ain't No Sunshine."
Yeah, the DMX "No Sunshine."
Right.
Yeah, classic.
He wanted to change it, and Dana White said, "No, you literally won a belt walking out to this. That people know you for the song. No, you can't change it." So
yeah, I remember being in the it was in the I think it was the Allstate Arena at the time in Chicago when he walked out to that, and you just hear it was like silence amongst the crowd. Patrick Cote had already walked out, and it was just that bass, that DMX bass of that song. The lights go out, and Anderson Silva walks out. Man, it was just a magical. There's a few entrances like that. Like his was one of them where you just get chills. You know, just waiting for them to walk out. You can't change that music, Dana.
That's what I'm saying. He said you can't change it. So here's a hot take. I'm glad you saw that Cote fight. Here's something people don't know. Patrick Cote was having a ton of success against Anderson in that fight before the knee gave out. He was doing really well. Up until that point, he was probably giving Anderson his toughest test. He was doing really well.
He's a very good striker. He was getting out-grappled quite a bit, though. Like he just looked like he was in a different time zone when he got taken down a few times. But, that was unfortunate. Like he just was going for a feint or going for a kick or something like that, and all of a sudden he just fell over. And I was just like, did Anderson Silva just kill him with his stare? Did he just look at him and he just crumpled?
Knees don't care, bro. That thing that ACL, it gives no shits, man. It just goes when it goes. So
yeah. So what were we talking about? Mana Martinez, Cameron Saaiman?
Martinez, yeah. Yep,
yeah, okay. All right. Mana Martinez. I like him in this fight. He's plus 250, and I like that price tag on him. I really do. Cameron Saaiman. The problem is like this is just such a weird money line, Dale, because you got Cameron Saaiman at like a -300 on some books now.
Yeah,
-3 all books -300 and climbing. Dude, he was a -275 over this kid Obi-Wan Kenobi the fucking Pillow before. He was a -275 over him, and I thought that was a fair price, but that guy gave him a little bit of trouble with the takedown. He's a good grappler, but the fight went the way it did. He got hit by an illegal knee. Cameron Saaiman showed that he could dig deep in round 3 and take over the fight and finish it when he needed to. Pretty cool. I like the 7-0 record. He looks like he's a pretty skilled fighter. But again, a 22-year-old kid, 7-0 record. What happens if Mana Martinez, who's only 26, by the way, cracks him upside the head with one of those giant left hooks? He slips and rips and lands those hooks very well up close. I'm not crazy about the skill set of Mana Martinez overall, but he's shown that he's durable. He's shown that he will not tap to a submission. He'd rather go out from a triangle than to tap, to a submission. We saw that in the Contender Series. He'll get knocked down by Ronnie Lawrence, taken down. He'll get right back up, crack him, and knock him down. So he's looked good in some losses. And for the price tag, I think I'm going to take him here. So where do you think this money line is going to go? And do you agree with that?
I think. Well, I mean, at this point, we're at Tuesday night. I don't see the line moving that much more. I don't think we're going to see a ton of action come in either side here. I will say though that I think we'll probably see quite a few sharp fellas hit the go button on Martinez here, and justifiably so. Looking at his record, the only thing that makes me nervous is that Ronnie Lawrence lost, because I see a similar skill set in Saaiman in the sense of like the way that they enter on their takedowns and their ability to provide pressure. I think Lawrence probably has the better hands, but the unending cardio and the ability to secure takedowns even in the latter half of the fight. Ronnie Lawrence, once he gets the cardio issues under control, which we've seen, can do that. That being said, the power coming back and the skill differential as far as opponents go, Mana's got the experience here. It's like Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard have taken an entire card and they've gone guys and gals that have good strength of schedule, but maybe not a bunch of like relative consistent success, and have put them against prospects, right? So we're getting a ton of hype. We're getting a ton of new wave versus some battle tested veterans. And I'll just be honest with you here, we're probably going to see some cuts after this card. There are quite a few people that are in must win spots. I'm not saying Mana's in that spot, but wins over Guido Canetti. Yeah, but there's a couple here. Wins over Guido Canetti, wins over Brandon Davis. The Brandon Davis win is a great win. It's a great win because Brandon is tough and durable. That's a great win for him. I think he's absolutely worth consideration at dog money here for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
I'm on it, man.
I'm going to pull the trigger on that one.
Pull it.
Probably a full unit stab on it too, honestly. I just think it's such a mispriced line. Like I said, we're getting the exact same price. Cameron Simon's more of a favorite over Mana Martinez than he was over a short notice guy off the regionals who belongs on the regionals. So we're on the same side of that one. Do you think it finishes inside the distance either way?
Man, honestly, it depends, because I think the path to success for Saaiman results in a decision. And then I think like you said, the path to victory for Mana is a knockout. He has to hit Saaiman with something that he hasn't been hit before, or make him taste some power that he may necessarily not come across before. Being on the Martinez side, I don't like the idea of playing, a decision, or I really don't want to touch the over unders either, because he could catch him fresh before Saaiman can get the timing down, or he could catch him late if Saaiman starts to fade. I really would I'm already big on the plus money side here. I don't want to get, extra spicy with it.
Yeah, I'm going to get cute with it for plus 250. That's for sure.
Right.
But moving along to another one of these, you set this up so well, Dale, with that last part about the matchmaking here. Ian Machado Garry taking on Kenan Song, who frankly I almost forgot even was on the roster. Still Kenan Song, welterweight bout here. Ian Garry, carrying the pride of all the Irish fighters here. 10-0 record. Now I think he's 3-0 in the UFC at this point. Kenan Song has been out for like almost 2 years, and the last time we saw him, I'm pretty sure it was the fight where he got knocked out by Max Griffin. Yeah, which is probably the only time, I think maybe the second time that Max Griffin's gotten a knockout in the UFC. And this wasn't like TKO due to exhaustion. This was like round one, a couple of minutes in. Max Griffin put this guy out cold. So that's a little frightening. And then if you look at all of the wins that Song Kenan's had, he clearly is one of these guys where they brought him in for the international cards years ago. He would only fight on the international cards. He got wins over guys that have never been seen or heard from in the UFC ever again. Never really had winning records. So, I just feel like Song Kenan's got power, maybe, but that's about it. I don't see much else for him. Not a very high volume guy. Struggles with the grappling. So give me Ian Garry here. I think this is a good spot. This is one of my more confident fighters on the card. And as such, he's like a minus 650 favorite. So how would you play this, if at all, from a gambling standpoint? Would you look at the under? Would you look at a finish prop for Ian Garry? Or are you a big fan of Song Kenan's work and you think he's going to pull off the upset here?
No, I think we're Garry round one.
That's what I thought.
Kenan's just too stiff. He's too rigid, man. He just, any of these ankle wrap guys that come out, they're too stiff.
Is he an ankle wrapper?
I believe he is an ankle wrapper,
okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
That makes sense, because on those international cards, they don't abide by a lot of the commission rules that we have now, and you can still do weird shit and wrap up your ankles, wear shoes. I don't know.
If I'm not mistaken, he's an ankle wrapper.
Wear your slippers to the ring over there in some of these, the Manila Philippines card or whatever they're doing.
Absolutely. So for that Kenan Song Max Griffin fight, Max Griffin got mad at me for that fight. So Max, I'm going to go ahead and say he is a friend of the show, but he's probably not anymore. But I've had him on a couple times and talked to him. So, dude, I called Max Griffin, and I meant this as a compliment. I called him the trash man of the welterweight division. I said, you're the guy that when they don't.
But did he think you said trash can? And he got angry? Maybe the cauliflower on his ears got to him. He didn't hear it.
He knew exactly. He heard exactly what I said, but I called him the trash man of the welterweight division. I said, you're the guy that they give people whenever they want to get them cut from the roster. Your job is to go out there and do what you do, so that way they could have a justifiable reason to cut them from the roster. He didn't like that. So for a while there, every time he would fight, he would message me and go, the trash man does it again. So, he did not like that. So a tip for all you aspiring podcasters out there, if you talk shit about fighters, even if you think they won't hear it, somebody will clip it and send it to them. And sometimes they respond. So they hear everything. They hear everything. So
yeah, that's part of why I haven't dabbled in that at all.
Bro,
also,
get after it.
Just because of the, it's like you got balls for having these people on when it's like at a certain point, you're going to have to talk some shit about their, because when we're talking about gambling, then it's, it's the gloves are off, man. Like these are people are livestock, it's like, you know what I mean? Like there's commodity at this point. Now, if I'm talking like differently and if I did an interview, I respect everybody who steps foot in the cage and does any martial art. But, when we're talking gambling, man, it gets pretty harsh and pretty real. So
yeah, man, you just got to listen. That's why that's exactly Matt's got it right, man. You just got to talk more.
Right.
You got to talk more shit. That's it, dude. Just talk a little bit more shit. Listen,
go out there with a boxing glove. I know I assume SD Crusader's talking about Art Jimerson from back in the day.
Yep, right.
come out there at UFC 1 with one boxing glove.
Absolutely. I called Calvin Cater a classy broad to his face, and you're fine, dude. Just let it rip, man. You do whatever you need to do. Whatever it takes to get him coming back. But no, Ian Garry or Ian Machado Garry in round 1 is where I would go here.
What's the cost on that? That's got to be are you paying chalk for that?
You know what? I don't.
Do I even have any the under 1.5 in that is plus 150.
There you go. Okay.
Wait, no. I'm sorry. No, the under 2.5 is minus 205. I'm looking at something else. Let's see if I got an alternate for that one. Scratch what I just said. I'm telling lies right now.
That's okay. I have a reference.
The under 1.5 on Bovada is minus 115. Perfect. So at least we're there. That's as far as I can see.
No, I like that better because then it buys me another 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So yeah, I like that. Under 1.5 at what? Minus what?
Minus 115 on Bovada right now.
I love it.
For Ian Machado Garry versus Kenan Song, and we're both assuming he gets that round 1. Look, there's the defensive thing about like Ian Garry, right? Like everybody's got that one gripe about him where he can pull back in a straight line, keep his chin up there, be kind of cocky, but that's like part of like the strategy in a little bit, right? Like he gets people to chase him and then he can snipe them with his reach. I feel like Kenan Song can actually probably fall into that trap as well.
Yeah,
and we haven't seen that guy in a while. Has he been injured or something, or just not like?
Dude, they got to pick spots for him to get executed at. I mean, that's literally it. They're, hey man, are you healthy enough to fight? Are you healthy enough to come out here and lose? Oh, you are? Cool. This is who you're going to lose to today. So I don't know if he's been injured or not. It probably doesn't matter, to be honest. If they didn't put him on the Korean card, the all Korean card, dude, he's cut after this. Right. So
interesting. Yeah, so I mean, Ian can wrestle. He can knock him out. I think he gets it done pretty early here. So let's just cruise on to something a little bit more interesting. This is a split fight in the MMA betting space. I know you like that word, Dave.
I'm a big fan of space. I'm a big fan of space in the space.
I know you're a spaceman in the space. One of the Dale, you're one of the good guys in this space.
I am not. I am not. Let's just get that out.
It's like there's always these cliches. You say space a lot, then you say that you say that this guy is one of the good guys. These are the cliches. But we got Julian Marquez taking on Marc-Andre Barriault at middleweight here, 185-pound bout. And these two guys, man, I see people rarely throwing their hands up wondering who's going to win. They're either really in on Julian Marquez as the underdog or really in on Marc-Andre Barriault. And I found myself on the Marc-Andre Barriault side of this one. I really do like him here. I don't like him against a lot of people, but I like him in this bout against Julian Marquez because Marquez, his cardio is terrible. Like, it's not good. And I'm not saying that like Marc-Andre Barriault's like running marathons or going into a 5-round championship bout and looking better each round, but the guy at least fights through fatigue pretty well. Julian Marquez, he's got that early round one power, but after that, man, like everything is telegraphed. He has to like load up and swing every giant hook that he throws, the kicks, and his takedown defense is so bad. Like if you, Maki Patolo, man, coconut bombs, scoring takedowns on him. You know what I mean? So I think Marc-Andre can implement the grappling pretty well in this, and I think even on the feet, he's sharper for longer in the fight. So I put a bet on Marc-Andre Barriault. I got him at -125, and I laid down a unit and a half on him. So that's where I'm at with this. What do you think? You seem to be on the Barriault side.
Dude, you're talking about power bar versus the Cuban Missile Crisis, and I'm absolutely on the power bar side here. I wish I got that -125 line. I will be paying the -150 like a sucker to get it, but that's just where I'm at. I think Julian Marquez has next to no fight IQ whatsoever. He has no energy management. He cannot, adapt to a plan B or a plan C if need be. And truth be told, fight IQ, regular IQ aside, anybody tied to James Krause and that whole shindig is worth fading for the foreseeable future. Because if you weren't smart enough to see where that ship was going, I got nothing else for you. Not to mention the fact that he fumbled the bag with Miley Cyrus. This further proves how stupid he really is, right? And
that was sad to see, man. That was sad to see.
For sure, dude. Listen, if you get a tattoo, you went from chest hair shaving to tattoo, my man, it's not good. Anyway, I also think that Julian Marquez suffers from, Marvin Hagler syndrome in the sense that Marvin said that it's hard to get up and do road work when you're sleeping on silk sheets. Julian Marquez is one of these guys where it seems like everything always sort of works out for him, not to mention the fact that he seems to be doing rather well with the ladies, and he's got his podcast with Kendra Lust and everything else like that. I just don't know if he puts in the time the way he needs to like take full advantage of the God-given gifts that he has. As such, low intelligence, low work ethic. It is what it is, man. Barriault is going to go out there and try to put hands on him. And we're going to get some high-stakes punch face on Saturday night. I'll take Barriault. He's a little bit cleaner in the pocket. Elbows in, moves his head off the center line, and he's got power in both hands. Marquez fades early, and we get him out of there, Barriault and inside the distance, please and thank you.
I like it. Isaiah, what's going on, my man? Good to see you in here. And I like Barriault decision. I think Barriault does win a decision. We see Marquez go there. Yeah, I think it's that way. I think Marquez early by finish. He's 100% finish rate. Probably by knockout, I'd say early. Like Marquez has submissions as all of his UFC wins, I'm pretty sure, right? As he's got the knockout over Phil Hawes in the Contender Series, but actually in the UFC, right, his wins are submissions. But it's like club and subs, right? Like Maki Patolo, right. He hit him with the knee. They're both gassed, and he managed to lock up a submission there. So he's going to dive in on next, but I think he would get the knockout early in this fight. I don't see Marc-Andre falling victim to the submissions unless things get super ugly later in the fight. But that's when I think Marc-Andre can pull through, and I think he does take him to a decision. I mean, how would Marc-Andre win the fight? Would it be like a ground and pound TKO in the later part after when Marquez is in his deep water stage, which is anything after 7.5 minutes, or when would he?
No, I think he crushes him clean early. I think he clips him. I'm serious. I think he's the one thing about Marc-Andre is he'll brawl, but initially before things get dicey, his technique is tight, and the chin is going for Marquez. Things are starting to fall apart. I think he catches him early, man. We get like a Kung Lee, Rich Franklin style flaily arm
Jesus, knockout. That badly, huh? That would be amazing. Bro. That's one of my favorite knockouts of all time.
Call him a shot.
That's so good, man. Back in, I think that was their first China card. That was in Macau, China back in 2012. That's one of my favorite knockouts. I've watched that over and over and over again. Just such a clean strike, but I'm glad we're on the same side of that one, man. I was worried that I had one of these Marquez lovers in here, I don't know. No, but I see the love for it, man. I can see the side. I can see Marquez. These guys are both durable, and their durability has been cracked one time apiece. So, I get it. And Marc-Andre coming off of a loss, I understand he got out hustled, but he's not going to get out hustled in the wrestling in this bout. I'd be surprised. But another fight up next. Another one of these close ones where the money line's close. People's opinions seem to be close on this one. Viviane Araujo taking on Amanda Ribas at women's flyweight. I think I'm going in the right order here. Yes, I am. And two Brazilians going at it. Both have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. Of course, Ribas does have the judo to complement it, but Araujo's got the really clean striking to complement. her skill set on the ground as well. I think she is the better striker in this bout, but she's 36 years old now, kind of pushing that upper threshold of what you want to back at flyweight. Amanda Ribas still 29 years old. So kick this one off for me, man. How do you feel about these two women in general, and what do you think this will play out like?
I mean, I think if the story of Amanda Ribas is not living up to potential so far. I mean, she just really, for a while there, we're like, okay, Amanda's the truth. She might be the future coming up, and then a couple setbacks along the way. I think Vivian is a tough fight for her, man. I really do. Pretty much depreciable skills across the board for Amanda. You know, she doesn't seem to be getting any better, right? I don't see her showing new variations or iterations of herself each time out. She just does her thing, and sometimes it wins her fights and sometimes it doesn't. And you're giving me a similarly skilled woman at plus money in Araujo. I'll take her all day. I can't not. I like Vivian here. Plus, she's got an old woman name, and old women are tough. So give me Vivian.
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 My great aunt Vivian's coming over. She's bringing the peach cobbler.
Listen, man, and Viv kicked the shit out of Will Smith on Fresh Prince, and we'll get a very similar result on Saturday.
God damn, yeah. I guess we're calling her Vivian here, Viviane, whatever. The 36, she looked good in her last fight, even for 36, 35, whatever she was against Grasso, who's fighting for a championship on this bout now. And that was a competitive fight. Like she didn't.
It's a good loss. Yeah, it's a good loss.
Now, one of the narratives about, so if you're talking about the Ribas looks the same, I tend to agree with you on that one. But if you just listen to the commentary, they're always trying to gas up her striking as being improved and refined. I don't seem to think that that's true, especially defensively. Like she's aggressive, I'll give her that. And if this does go late, and the narrative that I see people talking about is Araujo's cardio, is not up to par. Like she tends to fade. She is a very explosive type of fighter, but it looked okay in her last fight. She was able to pace herself and maintain form. And it's just that would be the way that Amanda Ribas wins this fight, would be if Araujo has a good success early, which I think she will. And then if she doesn't continue that in round two, it really falls apart. And then you have one of these late flurries from Ribas, like she had against Chukagi in last fight, That would be where I would see things going wrong. Like she steals the round based off of like finishing extremely strong in the later part of the fight. But I do have a money line bet on Araujo. I got her just one unit at plus 104, I think it was.
There you go.
Figure like that. I saw the peak of that plus money. And I thought it was going to, go away for good. It's been switching back and forth a little bit, but we're still seeing plus 102 for Araujo, minus 122 for Ribas, somewhere in that range. So, yeah, I can't believe we're on the same side for a couple of fights in a row now.
Yeah, I don't think Amanda's getting any better, man. And if you look at her wins, you're looking at Paige Van Zandt. Oh gosh, you know what? The Emily Whitmire, please. What are we talking about here? Her only quality win is over Mackenzie Dern, but that's
what about Verna?
Dude, Verna can't even see you. What are you talking? She's watching your corner coach you. And fighting you at the same time.
She's picking up the signals from your coach and your team. Dude. She's able to look into the future, man. She's like a chameleon.
I mean, I often wondered how they let Michael Bisping fight with one eye, but then I remember that Verna still has a roster spot, so they truly don't care about that. In which case, they should just let people fight with eye pokes.
They cared a lot about Bisping's and his stories these days. Like after he retired, about how he got through all of the doctor's exams for that are so funny. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah. I mean,
isn't that fascinating?
Shit, isn't he?
That's fascinating, dude. But okay, we find ourselves on the same side of that. Like I pointed out how this could go sideways. I could certainly see this going sideways. It's a closely lined fight, but I'm just going to hope that Araujo is able to stick and move quickly, and you'll see the head snap back of Amanda Ribas as she gets hit by those clean strikes, and that'll sway the judges for at least 2 out of the 3 rounds here. I think Araujo, she averages a lot of takedowns too. She could take this to the mat.
She's too pretty to be good. I mean, or too pretty not to be good, but she's too pretty to be great. So you can be pretty and good. You can't be pretty and great. And Amanda Ribas she's got the hearts and minds of the MMA community, the MMA space. Everybody loves Amanda Ribas and her cute, bubbly energy. And Araujo is just going to go out there and kick the shit out of her like a Waffle House waitress.
My guest tomorrow, Uncle Weezy, he Great guy, but he used to call the Amanda I think it was Hebos. He would call the Amanda Hebos backers the Appletini drinkers.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah,
100% it. Yeah, yeah.
I think back when she was fighting Jandaroba. So I actually I took the time to make a perfectly crafted Appletini, and I drank it, and I sent him a picture of it. I had cash on Hebos, but
I've never had an Appletini.
dude, it's nice.
Is it nice? Is it good?
It's nice, man. Yeah.
Really sugary though, man. That's a lot of sugar in a drink.
There's a bar around here that me and my girlfriend go to, and she loves it. And they do like the different types of martinis, like it's like a triple berry martini. They do a good one of that. It's just all like vodka martinis with like, but there's like a banana one that's pretty good. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's a nice little. It makes me feel like I'm healthy. I'm getting my nutrients in for the day.
What does it look like you holding that glass? Because that's a very frail glass, and you are not a frail person. So what does that look like when you go in there and you hold that little glass?
I'm telling you, man, I make sure I have to have my wrist up, so I'm holding like the actual bowl of it, not the little tiny stem.
Dude,
that might crack.
You just grab it. I mean, you could just stem, just cork smash and just hold on to it, right?
It takes a lot of fine focus for me to do those things, especially the drunker I get, it's
yeah, for sure.
Those fine motor skills go right out the window. But yeah, man, I'm glad we're on the same side of that one as well. This is a very fun fight up next, man. Moving up the prelims, we got 2 prelims left, and this is another middleweight bout between Derek Brunson and Dricus DuPlessis.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome fight here. We've got Dricus DuPlessis is a little more than a 2-1 favorite. I'm pretty sure here we're looking at minus 220 for Dricus DuPlessis, plus 185 for Derek Brunson. That's just about where I would line this fight. Maybe like minus 200 for Dricus. You know what I mean? Like it's somewhere around there. I'd actually line this. So since I agree with it, I'm not betting on this fight. I think Dricus wins. 39 years old for Brunson. Man, he's been a money train for me, like betting wise. Like he's one of my most profitable fighters over the course of my betting MMA career here. Like cashing on him over Edmund Shabazian, cashing on him by decision over Kevin Holland, like stuff like that. Just, I love that. But he looked pretty bad a year ago against Cannonier. Like he does have his flashes of brilliance. He did remind us at the end of round 1 against Cannonier that he is a very good striker, and caught him coming in wildly and caught him, I think, with like either a left or a right hook, sat him down at the end of the round and then jumped all over him. That could happen here. Dricus is a wild guy. And what I don't like about Dricus is he likes to grapple a lot. He likes to get in the clinch and kind of rest between striking blitzes. Man, he's going to get taken for a ride and taken down if he gets too close against Brunson. But I think the durability, the cardio, not looking so good from the Brunson side these days. So I think Dricus wins this at some point in the fight. I think he gets it done inside the distance. 17 of the 18 wins for Dricus DuPlessis are inside the distance finishes. And I think he gets another one here. But overall, what are you a fan of Derek Brunson? I got to admit, among this, like that little fake little title run he was going on.
Yeah.
And he was very close. There's nothing fake about that. I was kind of rooting for him, man, because he seems like a funny guy. Like he's doing the Brunson pose that he invented. He's kind of like, living out his own meme fantasy. I like that he doesn't take himself seriously. I did tend to like that. And I was hoping he would at least get a crack at Israel Adesanya again. But
yeah.
What's your feeling about Derek Brunson? Did you like the guy or no?
Well, he's a local guy, so there's a good chance I'll run into him if I say anything terrible, and I don't want him to kick the shit out of me.
The whole mythology of Blonde Brunson, were you on that train? Did you think he was gonna, eventually take? Did you think he was gonna take out Cannonier or no?
I did not think he was going to take out Cannonier.
But did you want him to? Were you rooting for him in that fight?
You know what's weird is I can't get a read on Jared Cannonier. He's into like all the crystals and mysticism.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like that, which is weird for me. But like what I do like about Cannonier though is like, he's a vet, he's a veteran, and then he was like a fat guy turned skinny guy, and he tends to work hard. Also, I just believe that Jared Cannonier might be the sweatiest guy in all of mixed martial arts. I mean, that guy just
he still has his big man sweatiness.
Yeah,
even though he's ripped, you don't lose that. You don't lose that ripped up fat man sweatiness. It's the hyperhidrosis damn near.
Yeah, it really is. No, I mean, I like Derek Brunson enough, but what has always confused me about Derek Brunson is I can never tell. One, I can't get a read for his intelligence at all. He's almost like a horse. I can't really tell what he's thinking. He just has like flat eyes. And then two, I can't tell whether or not he's ever motivated. Like, what is an unmotivated Derek Brunson look like? You know what I mean? Or what does a motivated Derek Brunson look like? If you look at who he's lost to, dude, he's only lost to damn title challengers or former champions. The only people that don't fit that mold is Kendall Grove. That's really it. I mean, that was everybody else that's ever beat him has fought for a belt or was a champion. Do I think that Dricus DuPlessis, which DDP, I don't think that that's a potential title challenger anytime soon. But what I do see is like a little bit younger, a little bit faster version of Derek Brunson in him. They both fight with rudimentary striking at best. I mean, it's literally like, I don't want to say it's day one, but it's like year one in the gym level striking. But they have good cardio, and both guys, when it doesn't go well, try to get the fight to the ground. This has potential to be super fucking boring. I think the only way that makes it exciting is Derek Brunson getting knocked out in meme-like fashion. But I have consistently faded Dricus DuPlessis since he got into the UFC, and I have lost every single time. And I want to play him here against Derek Brunson, which to me, in my inner superstitious, degenerate gambler bones, says if you bet on Dricus DuPlessis this time, Derek Brunson's going to win. So.
As far as the money line goes, would you make it any different? Like you know what I mean? Like for me, I think minus 200 on Dricus was about right.
I don't think he's any good. I'm
really.
Okay. I don't have it. I have no scientific backing for this whatsoever, other than just having watched thousands of fights. I don't think Dricus is very good. I know I understand he's winning at a very elite level. All the paperwork says yes, Dale, Dricus is very good. I just watch him fight and I go, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at here. I see a guy with blitzing strikes. I see a guy who holds his hands down at his fucking hips like he's doing the Rick Astley. He's got a couple submissions off the ground. He's muscle bound. He's got decent cardio, and he's got that, Boer South African charm thing going. But other than that, I don't understand what the fuck I'm looking at. What does he do great? Is he just good everywhere? Is he okay everywhere? What does he do well? How does he keep winning fights, man? How does he keep doing this? And I don't understand. I don't know how to gauge his skill set. I cannot get an accurate read on him whatsoever. But I know what I get with Derek Brunson. I get chin forward, knockout power, panic wrestling that's really damn good.
Yeah, so I think Dricus is a really athletic guy. I think he's like really fast twitch muscle fiber, which leads to these, and he's got the long weapons at 185, like a long reach, pretty muscular frame. So I think his fast twitch muscle fiber can either dive on a neck and squeeze as hard as he can for a period of time and then gas out and have to rest. So lately it's been working for him, right? He's finished like all of his wins except for the Brad Tavares one, which he damn near almost finished.
Yeah.
So, and I like what he said at the end of the last fight against Darren Till. He's like, yeah, my gas tank is it goes to low, but it's never completely empty, which really looks to be the case, you know what I mean? Because he gets that second wind. But in those little breaks, Derek Brunson could take him down and smother him. I saw round 3 submission for Derek Brunson was like plus 4,000 or something crazy like that for like a round 3.
What kind of submission does he hit him with though? Like an arm triangle? Like what do you get him with? What do you get?
Anything. I mean, you're just gonna be like you'd have to have a corpse on the ground, and then you just like you beat on him, and then he flips over, and you get a rear naked choke. Like kind of like what Dricus just did against Darren Till. Like that was barely locked in. That was like an Amanda Nunes submission, wasn't it? Like he was just so fatigued. It was like let's just end this right now. I'll tap.
I just think of Derek Brunson hitting a damn submission. I just like what I try to visualize that in my mind. Like what is he going to hit him with? I mean, it's got to be it's got to be a rear naked. It's not going to be anything that's not a rear naked.
Yeah, no, it would be it would be like the trifecta of like the full circle completes itself because Derek Brunson got the round 3 sub over Darren Till. Now Dricus got the round 3 submission over Darren Till. Now this would be like the full circle, like Brunson completes it, right? He gets a round 3 over Dricus.
Okay.
So for plus 4,000, hey, that might not be bad.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah.
So just throw a couple bucks on that. But yeah, we're both on the. You just don't know what Dricus. So are you taking Brunson here, or what's your final?
I think Brunson is
motivated at 39.
I think Brunson's worth considering, but I think there's a passing of the guard here that happens. Brunson's on the way out. He's 39. He's 5 miles away from a title shot. There's really nothing else for him. He doesn't talk well enough. He's not liked well enough for any sort of big money fight anywhere. He has no future. He can't go down to 170, and he's not going to go to 205. I think we see DuPlessis beat Derek Brunson, and then we get Derek Brunson in the PFL, if not this season, next season.
Ooh, I like that. He would probably win the $1 million there with his wrestling, honestly.
Yeah, it's possible. So go get that payday and ride off into the sunset there, DB. What is Derek Brunson's nickname, by the way? The
Blonde,
one. The
Blonde
one.
Brunson.
Blonde Brunson.
The one.
I think it's the one or chosen one. Something really not fitting for him. Anyway, go for it.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't honor these people's nicknames like I should, really, unless it's like really catchy. I don't really know what they are.
Man, it gives an insight to the psyche of like how they see themselves. Like, if you call yourself the truth or chosen one or whatever, dude,
it depends. But it depends. Yeah, like you can tell some they gave themselves, and then you can see some ridiculous ones, like or generic ones you can tell were given to them. Like as nicknames should be, they should be bestowed upon you in the gym. But
right.
Yeah.
You don't think somebody called Corey Anderson Beastin 25-8? That wasn't you think Corey came up with that on his own? You don't think that was bestowed upon him by his coach?
I mean, maybe some guy like laying on the side of the road called him that or something. I don't know.
What a clown.
Some guy he met at the bar.
Biggest nipples in MMA, Corey Anderson.
Beastin 25-8.
That's right.
No, biggest nipples are what's that guy's face? Ian Kuntalaba, dude. He's always erect nipples every time he gets in there in the apex.
They're definitely the hardest nipples, yeah, for sure. Which he just got a fight book too. I think they're putting Kuntalaba versus shit. I can't remember now. I just saw they booked him against somebody.
So. Hopefully, somebody that gives him an exciting fight.
Yeah,
or a winnable one. I like Ian Kuntalaba, but he's let me down several times.
I like his energy. But the fact they won't let him touch people at weigh-ins anymore is messing with him. He needs to be able to push you at the.
He's one of those. I like the guys as a fan that you can tell there is no other option for that. I know that's a lot of these people. But there's no other option.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he would be dead or incarcerated if there wasn't this to make a living at.
Oh yeah, Kutalaba's not an architect like whenever he's not fighting. Like that dude is 100%, a henchman for a Moldovan gangster if he's not.
Yeah, Austin, you're right. Matt Semmelsberger, Sem of the Jedi is a good one. And yeah, man, speaking of this, I just saw this today. Austin saying Till was just released.
Yep.
I mean,
that hurts. Yeah. That hurts actually. I wonder how much that was him being released, or if he chose to test free agency and they said, "See ya."
Perhaps. Yeah, I think why these things hurt these days, like Till leaving, is like some guys who have had good performances, but they're letting in such a low level of competition these days. So it's like, you know what I mean? So I think that's what's in the back of our mind subconsciously. We're like, oh man, we're seeing some of these guys that, barely above regional level, if that, and they're making it off the Contender Series into their debut spot. But we got guys like Till leaving. Hey, they got to go at some point, man. They got to go at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
But leading off the prelims here, we have Cody Garbrandt versus Trevin Jones. Another very confusing fight at bantamweight, because this is one of the biggest disparities in like career high points that you've ever seen, right? Like one of the biggest step downs in competition you'll see from a guy who was holding the championship gold at bantamweight after a masterclass performance over Dominic Cruz, a dominant 5-round decision over Dominic Cruz at one point for Garbrandt. He's taking on Trevin 5-star Jones, who has been facing good guys, losing to good guys, but they are debuting talent, like the Basharat fight, the Rakhmonov fight. So Trevin Jones on a 3-loss streak, Cody Garbrandt losing 5 of his last 6, 4 of those knockouts, which has led to this narrative, or at least illusion, that his chin is gone. Has his chin ever really been tested that much before this giant losing streak? Because I feel like he's a guy who was one of the first guys in the lighter weight classes to show that you can have knockout power at bantamweight for one, but also he would just go in there and just get in a firefight every single fight. And somehow he came out the other side of it all the way to a title shot. And then it just stopped working, right? TJ Dillashaw got him. TJ Dillashaw got him again. Who else? Pedro Munoz. Yeah. So I just feel like he was getting into these firefights and not using his full skill set. The wrestling you rarely ever saw. So am I right, or is his chin really gone? Like, is Trevin Jones going to jab him once and he's going to fall over? What's happening here?
I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's to that extreme, but I think that Cody Garbrandt is a masterclass or an example, like a textbook example of leaving the best parts of yourself in the gym. Cody has been boxing from a young age, which we now know is horrible for your brain. And then he went into the gym of all gyms as far as dick measuring contests go in Team Alpha Male. And that gym has been notoriously ruthless on spar days. You know what I mean? It's case in point. Look at Chris Holdsworth, right? I mean, TJ retired Chris Holdsworth from a sparring day, right? That's where that comes from. They had no idea how to take off days there, and you can't tell me with those egos that Cody hasn't been in there for years. Playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots, for lack of a better example, against some of the best guys on the planet there, and at a certain point, it just catches up with you, man. It just catches up with you whether you want it to or not. I know the Sun Sal thing, people like, that was a highlight reel knockout. But if you look at Cody coming into that, what did he have that he never had? He had a gigantic beard. And I'm not saying like the thing, but there's a psychology in that of like trying to add a little bit of cushion to the face. People would say that's fucking stupid or whatever, but dude, he was hiding his face. He literally was hiding his face because what did he do as soon as he won the fight? He shaved his beard off. He literally showed up directly after with his beard shaved off. It's like you hid the chin and then you shaved. Now people newsflash. This is what I do on Punchlist. I make up random wild conjecture.
I like it, and there's no way to prove that wrong. You've got all the points going in your favor of your hypothesis here. So
I'm not saying that his chin is gone, but I'm saying that a guy like Trevin Jones who can crack with Timur Valiev can absolutely knock out Cody Garbrandt, and I expect him to. Combat sports is ruthless, and when you overstay your welcome, you can either get the memo or somebody will staple the memo to your dead fucking chest. And that's what's going to happen with Cody Garbrandt here. Trevin Jones, even though he's 39, 40 years old, is knocking out Cody Garbrandt. He's going to knock him out. And it's going to be ugly, and we're going to hate it, and nobody's going to like to see it, and it's going to be very sad because Cody was once at the pinnacle of popularity, but it's coming, man. Trevin Jones is going to snuff him from existence.
Really? See, I'm on the Garbrandt side. I think
Garbrandt's going to be.
I think Garbrandt's going to be. And I think he wins by decision. I really like. Yeah, and not this isn't my strongest read here, and not I'm certainly not betting on this fight because I think it's dangerous either way. I think Cody Garbrandt at minus 170, wherever his money line is at now. Let me double check. Minus 170 for Garbrandt, plus 145 for Trevin Jones. Both guys are. I mean, Trevin Jones is super low output, and so is Garbrandt if he is gun shy. Like if he tries to, like the Rob Font fight. Like I bet Rob Font by decision during that fight because I didn't agree with that narrative that his chin was gone for Garbrandt, but he was gun shy. So if he tries not to get in the firefight, they're like, dude, stop trying to expose your chin and get in these wild 50-50 exchanges. When that wild man is out of you and your strategy is more, technical, you end up being gun shy and hesitant and you don't let your hands go. But what we did see was we saw him wrestle. I think he might do that in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for some takedowns, mix things up that way and just be a little bit slower. But I think even a slow gun shy Garbrandt could put up more points in the board by minute than Trevin Jones, who is content to just, play off of his back foot. And he is a very accurate counter striker. We saw that with the, Mario Batista fight. He was moving backwards for 7 minutes, eventually landed that nice uppercut and got him out of there. So that could happen, but I could see this being a very lackluster fight and, Garbrandt just edging it out on the scorecards, to be honest.
I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong. It's just we're going to have to see Cody do something that he hasn't done, right? I mean, we haven't. I'm always personally hesitant on betting on fighters doing things that historically they just don't normally do.
Especially when it's this far into their career, right?
And so, yeah. Cody is low fight IQ, man. He has no pivot button in there. He can't switch speeds up and try, okay, the striking's not working, let's go wrestling. He's got to go in there, I'm going to wrestle or I'm going to strike. He just can't. And then he's still that weird, the pride comes into play where he gets tagged and he's like, all right, well, I got to hit you now. And,
that usually does happen. That's like his on switch is him getting caught.
Right.
Like when he's in a bad spot, the spot where you should switch levels and level change, go for the takedown or, back up or circle up the cage. No, that's like his oh my God, I just got rocked. So let's go play Rock'em Sock'em Robot real fast. And hopefully I come out the other side like I always do. Until you don't anymore. And, what you're talking about, you overstay your welcome in this sport, man. You go out in a string of losses. And then the worst thing that happens to those guys, when they're in this position for, losing 5 of your last 6, the worst thing that happens is when you get that win. And then you think you can go back and compete again at the high level. And then I said this in my full card breakdown. Like, I think he gets through Trevin Jones, but if they throw him back in there again, they go right back to that level of competition he's used to. Then I think he gets put out for real.
I just don't know. Dude, they can't give him anybody else. Everybody, I mean, I'm honestly surprised this line is even where it is. I mean, bantamweight is such a killer area. Like, who do you give him after that? Are you going to rebook him against Arce? I mean, Arce was going to murder him. I mean, the biggest blessing that happened was Arce pulling out. Is that they give him a somewhat winnable fight in Trevin Jones. But even then, I don't think this is going to go the way he wants to. Unless you believe that fighting is fixed and we're going to see some sort of shenaniganry. But I really don't think so here, man. I think Trevin Jones. But you're on Garbrandt. I like it. I don't want to come on here and agree with you the whole time. So I'm glad you say something different.
Certainly not. What are some locks? We'll get to some locks at the end. We'll talk about our favorite props at the very end for sure.
I don't do locks, man. I don't do locks.
D-Gen boy saying Gane round one pays 13-1. Ooh, that's a D-Gen lock. I like where your head's at there. But man, all right, we're moving on to the main card here. Bo Nickal making his official debut, 3-0 mixed martial artist, like 120-3 in collegiate wrestling. Guy's an absolute killer, one of the best. At 27 years old, this guy has got all the skills, a great base. Already went to the Olympic level at freestyle wrestling. One of the best pound for pound athletes in the country across all sports, taking on one of the worst guys on the UFC roster, the 13-8 Jamie Pickett. But once again, we got a giant juiced up favorite here. What do we have? Minus 2,000 for Bo Nickal. We got plus 1,000, the underdog price on Jamie Pickett. And I got to say, man, we might disagree on this, but I think this is Jamie Pickett all day or pass. I think we're going to see he's going to break George Masvidal's record with a 4-second flying knee knockout in round one. That's where I'm going with this betting wise. What do you think about this fight?
I mean,
no. I think Bo Nickal walks through him and submits him. But
I mean, nothing would make me happier than to see. Listen. I love seeing hype trains get derailed. I really do. That makes me very, very happy whenever that happens. So
when you see the inner workings of the UFC screenplay falling apart before their eyes, isn't that always somewhat satisfying?
Yes, it really is. It really is. Jamie Pickett's a local guy to me here. He fought in a promotion that I've worked with before. That doesn't mean anything here. Bo Nickal should throttle him. But I think Bo is very good. I think he's getting a very large step up in competition here against Jamie Pickett. I would be a little bit concerned. We don't know anything. We have no data to go off of as far as like actual mixed martial arts conflicts go with Bo Nickal, because he's just absolutely pulverized everybody that's been across from him. We just have we have
less than a half a round total combined cage time between three fights. He knocked out his first guy in 30 seconds on the regionals, just deaded him early. He took down his first Dana White Contender Series opponent in 5 seconds. He took him down and submitted him, a few seconds later. And then Donovan Beard was like a CFFC or a Cage Warriors CFFC champion, I think at middleweight for whatever that's worth. Yeah. Donovan Beard. He basically clubbed him with the left hand and then, wrapped up a triangle seconds after. So everything's been like less than a half of a round of cage time for. So that's like the way that I would play this F at all. If you want to get D-Gen with this and go on DraftKings, look at like the 0 to 60 second time frame in round one, look at the 1 minute to 2 minutes, see if you can, piece together something giant there. But that's the way.
I mean, Bo Nickal by submission is minus 120.
That's really cheap. Is that really what it's at? That's cheap.
Really what it's at. Yeah.
Because inside the distance in general is like minus 400. Minus 400?
That's something like that, yeah. Or, I mean, I could be wrong. I think I saw it at minus 400-ish.
What's up, Zach Singleton? Very good to see you in here. Glad to have you as always, my friend.
Yeah, Bo Nickal inside the distance available minus 400 on Betway. 5 Dimes has it at minus 510. So, listen, man. Bo Nickal's very good. I'd be fool. It's Jamie Pickett or bust. But if you're looking at playing Bo Nickal, props are your friends. Bo Nickal round one. Bo Nickal by sub minus 120 seems like a prop I'll play. So
Yeah, even on Bet Online right now, so you're looking at minus 185 on Bo Nickal by submission. I don't have draft. I'm not sure if DraftKings has even dropped their props yet.
Okay.
Not quite sure. I know Bovada has like all of like the alternate unders. I don't think they have the actual. Oh,
I don't know if I'll
don't.
play a method of victory at that minus 185
No,
range.
that's nasty. You know,
because
that's
you get
nasty
positional
business.
KOs all the time where
that's
you
nasty
could stub
business.
them. Yeah. I'm not gonna
Like if you give me a plus number on something like that, then sure. But I mean, like there's no good way to really extract true value out of this one.
Yeah.
Because Jamie Pickett he's a giant guy, man. Like, and it's this is Bo Nickal, his actual debut. I would assume he's going to do what he does best and nullify that size difference right at the gate and go for the takedown. But you know,
what was the injury? Do we know what the injury was that kept this fight from happening before?
You know, I was going to ask you that. I didn't look into that. If anybody in the chat knows what Bo Nickal's injury was that kept him out of this fight initially with Jamie Pickett, I think it was supposed to be on UFC 282. I think he was supposed to fight Jamie Pickett, so it delayed it by a couple of months.
Right.
I'm sure they were just. Well, I'm also sure that they were just waiting for the next big pay-per-view to put Bo Nickal on. They probably weren't even waiting for. He was probably good to go at one of these Apex cards, but they're not going to put him on. They're not going to waste him on there. They're going to put him on a pay-per-view main card where all the amateur wrestling fans will, tune in and pay that whatever $1,000 they're charging us these days for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, if you pay for pay-per-views.
Yeah. I mean, there's sometimes I often do, to be honest with you, just because I'm so paranoid that like it's gonna like start buffering. You've had some of the janky streams, like I don't know, whoever's streaming it gets their house raided or something like that, and it cuts off, and I'm like, fuck. So I'd rather pay the money than to even like worry about it most of the time.
Yeah, somebody said a long time you can't complain about fighters not getting paid enough and then not buy the pay-per-view. And I was like, well, okay.
Yeah, no, it's completely true, but
I'm gonna buy your fight kit instead, bro. I need a Dom Cruz fight kit. Let me get a super sweet T-shirt.
Don't the fighters get like a embarrassingly low percent of that? It's like nothing.
Oh, do they get a percentage? Oh,
they get a small percentage of that, but I think it's super small.
Oh, I'm buying it, dude. Come on, who's like the most bootleg fighter on the roster? We should all just buy their kit and be like, suddenly,
I don't know if their kit goes to them, but I think like maybe it goes in this giant pool of money of like their revenue from merch, and then it gets divvied up amongst. I'm not actually sure. I need to look into that. You got to ask Dober what he's getting for the fight kits.
Dude, imagine if like they came out one day and they're like, honestly, the highest selling fight kit we have is Jake Collier.
Chris Moutinho.
Yeah, Moutinho's got the highest fight kit, dude. I mean, literally number one bestseller is Carlos Felipe. I mean, I don't know why, but
I'm sitting in Buffalo Wild Wings with just like a tray of shots with a Moutinho walkout and like a green. I'll get a green wig like Moutinho's hair.
I like that, yeah.
Put it on, yeah.
Dude, Harry Hunsucker kit, bro. Let me get the Hunsucker kit.
just the 6XL.
Dude, let me ask you this.
You gotta go to the big and tall store for his fight kit.
Let me give you your opinion on something. So the UFC does away with sponsorships for fighters on their shorts, but yet we now have the Prime Hydration refuel zones that were formerly the red corner and blue corner, and increasingly the octagon looks more and more ridiculous. Yeah. What are your thoughts on them? Like, do you ever think we see a day where they allow sponsorships again, or has it just been so monopolized at this point they're never going to give it back?
Yeah, I mean they're not. They're slowly taking it away from like the fighter and they're giving it to like the giant corporations. Right. You know what I mean? So, what's that one MMA promotion overseas where they are allowed to paste the sponsor like their
KSW.
bodies literally. Yeah, KSW, where they literally have. I could see them making fighters do that for companies that they don't work for. I could see that happening at some point.
I like that. Yeah,
I don't know.
Didn't Aldo did that for a fight? Aldo came out with the chest tattoo, the temporary tattoo on his chest a fight, and it was for a company.
Was this WEC days or was this?
No, this was like 4 or 5 fights ago.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Oh shit. All right.
Yeah, look this up, and we'll queue up the next fight. But we got lightweight bout up next in the main card with Jalen Turner taking on Mateusz Gamrot. This is a short notice bout of about a month, Jalen Turner was going to have a very favorable matchup in Dan Hooker, a fellow striker. And I think that Jalen Turner would have gotten that job done pretty decisively. He's a very genetic freak of like a lightweight. He looks like he's towering over everybody at 6'3" and a 77-inch reach at 155. Mateusz Gamrot now stepping in on a month's notice, which I think is more of a detriment to Jalen Turner than it is to Gamrot himself, probably because Jalen Turner's now got to deal with this former, as we were just talking about, KSW. He's a Polish international submission wrestling champion. He was the champion over there in 2 divisions in KSW. And his grappling is off the charts, and he's durable. He's never been finished before. So 7 knockouts, 5 submissions for Mateusz Gamrot. I'm a big fan of this guy, and I know he just got schooled by Beneil Dariush. Close fight, but he showed that he's incredibly durable as well. He got dropped by that giant overhand left that clocked him. He did not see that strike coming, flattened him to the ground, and he popped right back up and started, diving at his legs again or whatever. He's attempted like 100 takedowns in his handful of UFC fights. I think at some point he lands the takedown, gets the poor Jalen Turner to the ground. And Jalen Turner's got very good submissions off of his back. He's got good club and subs, as we saw against Brad Riddell. But I don't think Gamrot's going to fall into that. Like, I can't imagine, unless he gets punched or kicked or kneed in the head super hard and club and subbed, I don't see him getting subbed by something he doesn't see coming. So I think Gamrot edges out a victory here. I'm not sure if he gets it done inside the distance. I would imagine it's like he just does the better work with the grappling. And I'd say Jalen Turner looks very good in a loss in this one. But, man, plus 180 for Jalen Turner, I think, is still the underdog ticket on him. That's not too bad of a number for considering just how much of a genetic freak, he is. And I'm a big fan of his, too. Hard not to like him. And he's a young guy, 27 years old, man. But I got to ride with Mateusz Gamrot. I did bet him at this. I got him at minus 175. They had on Bet Online for a while. So I got him there before the event last week was even over, and I put 2 units on it. So what do you got here? You taking the dog and Jalen Turner? I would not blame you.
If you're a value person, right? If you're one of these people that preach value
boy,
if you're a value boy, I would go so far. Listen. He says it's big Bud Light or Burger King.
I miss those, Austin. I miss those.
I miss the Mickey's, the Mickey's malt liquor. That's what I miss.
I missed the Harley. They were rocking Harley for a while too.
What was the other one? Didn't they have like Pitbull Energy too? Wasn't there like an energy drink one for a while?
They ran the gambit with that, but I missed the Zions. I still drink Zions. Me and our guy Eric Betts Fights were just talking about this the other day. We're like, dude, I'm still staying. I'm a truther for Zions, and it's solely because back in the day at the events they would actually give that out for free there.
Dude, the cherry limeade Zions is like, for me, is like the best one. What's your favorite flavor?
Cran Raz, and I was asking Eric if they still make it. I don't see it around here. I like Cran Raz. That was like one of their original flavors, but mango guava I like as well. The frostberry is pretty good.
The hell is a guava, by the way? I see guava and all kinds of shit. Are we even convinced that's a real thing? Nobody knows what that is. Gun to your head. Could you describe a guava to me?
I don't know fruits or vegetables, dude. Isn't guava like that little green thing that's like, it looks like a watermelon, but like a really small one? It looks like a pear, but a watermelon.
I have no idea.
Somebody in the chat tell us if guavas are real or if it's just an international, like a artificial flavoring.
Just make that shit up, man. Anyway,
I live in the Midwest. There's no tropical shit around here.
Right. If
we're not growing guava trees above Chicago, I tell you that.
No. The climate, the deciduous zone doesn't allow for it. Anyway, if you're a value player, Turner's your side, right? He absolutely is. But I asked Drew about this because he wanted fights with both of these guys, and he thinks that Gamrot walks through. His quote on my show earlier today was that Gamrot can win this fight without throwing a punch. Is how he sees this going. He thinks he's going to take Turner down and ragdoll him. So I don't know, man.
Nice. That would be very nice for the wallet. I tell you what,
he's a professional fighter. I'm not. That was his assessment of it. Prior to him saying that, I was on Turner, but now I'm not. Now I'm not so sure. But yeah, value wise, Turner's the play. Sloppy takedown entries that we've seen from Gamrot leave the neck exposed. He'll hold on to single legs that he doesn't have. And Jalen Turner has a frame unlike anybody that Gamrot's fought before. So longer arms, hips are more elevated, things of that nature. Sloppy scramble, weird transition, wraps up a neck, gets an arm. We can see an arm triangle, something like that. And, to be honest with you, I was all over Gamrot in the the Dariush fight. And I thought he fought that unlike any sort of Gamrot fight I've ever seen before. He looked slow to the punch. His takedown entries were horrible. And I know people talk about Dariush having good jiu-jitsu, but dude, it looked like his jits defense was so good it made Gamrot look like he had never, been on the mat before, which I'm almost at a point now where I need to see Gamrot win before I'll play him again. But
that was a shocking performance too. That
it was really bad.
Dariush one. Not only was it like, all right, he's gonna, he'll get the takedown eventually, keep going for it, and then he got hit by that giant left hand I mentioned earlier, and then I was just like, well, all right, this bet's off. Like,
it's over with.
He's losing this. This is over.
Yeah. If your value side, you go for it. If not,
like our guy Daz Files in the chat, he's got 3 units on Turner. Yeah. And hey, this is a value guy. And Daz Files, man, he's a very successful gambler, man. He's always posting those. Right. Win or lose, he'll post. But I see a lot more wins than I see losses for Daz Files on Twitter.
I do too. What I love about Daz, besides his creative pictures that he makes when he puts all his bet slips, he always superimposes some shit behind it. He fires on anything that he likes. And as a person who ascribes to a very similar betting mindset, I like the idea of I fire, so I can appreciate Daz. I too am on Turner here for the value spot, but not because I think he's going to win the fight. I just think it's too damn good of a line. I have to play it.
And the short notice of it too,
and the short notice nature of it. Yep. And honestly, I want Turner to win because I want Dober to fight him next, and it looks better for Dober if Turner gets a win on Gamrot. So. I'm trying to chess this shit. I want it 5 layers ahead. So
sounded like a true manager for Drew Dober.
I like it. I'm trying.
I like it. You'll get there. All right, you'll be his manager soon, I'm sure. I mean, look, man, the guy. I can't wait to go rewatch it. Like I said, I was driving and making my way home here before you had finished that, so I got the first half of that. But I might have to go rewatch that. So everybody, go and check out Dale's Punchlist MMA, the correct one with his logo on it. Check out that YouTube channel and watch his fighter interviews.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's a good.
Of course, man.
It's a good plug.
But yeah, we got Shavkat Rakhmonov taking on Jeff Neal at 170. Crazy to see Jeff Neal at such a big underdog price tag, and this is another case of similar to that Penne Ricci fight from earlier, where it's like this was scheduled for earlier this year, got rescheduled. They saw where all the money went, which was on the Rakhmonov side. And now they're screwing us on this line. It's like minus 500 for Rakhmonov, plus 375 for Jeff Neal, who's a very good welterweight. But I still like Rakhmonov quite a bit here. 16-0, 16 finishes, 8 knockouts, 8 submissions for Shavkat, 28 years old, a giant frame for welterweight. And he's good everywhere, man. Like his striking is long, technical. He's good defensively. The clinch work is so strong with the knees. His wrestling is good. He really does have like sneaky submissions where you can tell he's not wasting his squeeze on something that's not going to work. Like he either knows where he's going to go with a submission and if he's going to apply the guillotine or not. And by the time it's locked in, it's game over. But his ground and pound is so nasty as well. He's knocking guys out cold like Carlston Harris with the ground and pound. So Jeff Neal is very impressive, and he's the first guy ever to knock out Vicente Luque?
I believe.
I think he was the first one to do it. And that was, I think I was probably on the over for that fight, and I'm not sure if it cashed or not, or maybe the fight goes. But, man, ended that one with like 10 uppercuts up against the fence until Vicente Luque fell over flat onto his face, forehead first onto the canvas. Amazing performance from Jeff Neal, who looked like he was losing his step a little bit in some of those fights, like the, Neil Magny fight. Obviously, Wonderboy Thompson didn't look the best, but not many people look good in a 5-rounder with that guy. Kick it to me, man. What do you think about this fight? I know the line value has got to be on Jeff Neal, at least in some way, possibly here, because the guy is a very high-caliber fighter. But to see what Shavkat did to Neil Magny last time, I can't help but think that there's a similar fate awaiting Jeff Neal. What do you think?
I mean, I think there's some MMA math baked into this, right? You know, you have Neil Magny beating Jeff, and then you've got Neil Magny losing decisively to Shavkat. I mean, there's a little bit of MMA math baked into this, but I'm just going to say this, man. And again, sounds like I'm being a hater. I love Shevchenko. I love people from the Caucasus Mountain regions. I love people that wear dead hats on their head.
Yes.
I'm an OG of this region. Those are my people. Um, Here's the thing. I say this with love in my heart. Shavkat's has not been tested. We need to be realistic about the people he's fought and the results that he got.
Well, the Michelle Prazeres one I'll give you for sure.
Well, I mean, listen,
the guy looked like he was like in 10 weight classes below.
okay,
Shavkat.
but are we really? I mean, are we going up and saying like that Carlston Harris was a great win, or Alex Oliveira, who has the fight IQ of the leather chair behind you? Like, those are our wins. We're basing Shavkat's skill set off of.
Well, it's
I'm
just
not
the way he's doing it, man.
Sure.
Like he's not making any mistakes,
But he should. That's how he should fight. If you're a true contender, that's what you should be doing. But I'm just saying, he hasn't been tested. He has not been tested at all, and he's going up against a guy that is undoubtedly his greatest test to date. I mean, he's got knockout power. He literally comes from a great camp. He's got good cardio. He's not going to go anywhere. He has very little quit in him whatsoever. Maybe he goes in there and steamrolls him, and he very well may. And truthfully, I hope he does. But if he doesn't, I mean, people need to like curb the expectations of what we've got here. Personally speaking, I don't look at his record. I don't see what he's done and go, that was an anomalous result. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. So I'm not impressed yet by executing the way that you're supposed to do. You go to your job every day and you do your job the way you're supposed to. Your boss doesn't come in every day and go, you crushed it today. You crushed it today. You're the best.
That rarely happens.
Exactly, because you do exactly what you're supposed to do. Yeah. It's not unless you did something out. Yeah, seriously, do something anomalous and see how quickly you get their attention. Right? He's done exactly what he's supposed to do. And realistically, if he's going to fight for belt one day, he needs to beat Jeff Neal. But make no mistake about it. I opened the show when talking about Blackshear that said there were plus 300 dogs and above that I loved this week that had real chances of winning. And you are foolish to think, pejorative foolish, not you, but to think that Jeff Neal can't win this fight because you have no basis to go off of what happens to Shavkat if the fight doesn't go exactly the way he wants it to go. He has no idea.
No, especially never going to a decision before, and
right.
Rarely. I think maybe making it to round 3 a couple of times, if that. But no, I agree, and I'm usually on that side too most of the time, especially with these guys who you've never seen them overcome adversity, right? They've never been in it's never been like a fight. You know what I mean? It's never been that back and forth struggle. You don't know what's going to happen. Will they take the back door? Will they take the way out? When it gets ugly. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I do think I think Shavkat gets through this one. Maybe we'll learn something more about him in this fight. What about the overs and unders? If the fight doesn't go or does go, I know it's easy for the Shavkat side just based on he's never been to the scorecards before. But do you think that Jeff Neal, if Shavkat comes out here, it looks like he does his job the way he's supposed to, do you think it's going to go over 1.5? Do you think that defensively Jeff Neal will last that long? And or if he wins, do you think he's going to do it before under 1.5? Or do you think he's got to drag this late and expose Shavkat? Or do you think he go in there and just put a fist to Shavkat's face? I mean, like, what's the time on this one? I assume it's a pick'em. I'm just going to assume it's a pick'em for the over under 1.5. Let's see what it actually is.
I mean, body of work wise, I'm inclined to believe.
Okay, under 1.5 plus 125. So we're getting a little bit more.
Body of work wise, I'm inclined to believe that Jeff Neal is good enough to make this fight last 7.5 minutes. But if Shavkat is the truth, the way that people think that he is, it leans to the under 1.5. I just my thing with Shavkat with this is I feel like a submission is in play here. I feel like if I watch this fight in my head, he secures a takedown at some point in time, probably off the cage, and he's in either half or full guard of Jeff, and then he allows Jeff to advance position in the hopes that he tries to get up. Then he gets one hook in, then he grapevines the leg, drags him down, gets the other hook around, and then we see a rear naked choke. That's the way I see this fight playing out. If it truthfully in my head, if we're how I see Shavkat winning this fight. The flip side of that is that we get something weird where we're 2 minutes in and Jeff Neal punches Shavkat flush in his eye, which he and hits him for real, which he has not been hit yet before. And it causes Shevchenko to take a step back, and the whole process gets delayed. And then Jeff Neal has a real chance to win the fight. But he has to establish respect with almost immediate results. Like, he has got to give Shevchenko something within the first 2 minutes that says, you're not going to bully me like you've done everybody else. And if he can't, he'll get bullied.
Right. And one of the MMA math things you brought up was like Neal Magny. He had wrestling success against Jeff Neal, but it wasn't until, I don't think it was until round 2, he actually was able to secure that takedown. And one thing about Shevchenko, and I am on the Shevchenko side, I think he's going to run through. I think he's not run through Jeff Neal, but I think he's going to beat him here. Usually using the grappling is how I see this playing out, but he's not like one of these guys who's got a 16-0 record, all finishes. He's not rushing things. Like, he's not a reckless guy. You know what I mean? Like, these have just happened. Maybe due to what you're saying, the level of competition has been a little bit low, slowly ramping up here. But he's not like rushing in there, diving on a neck. Like, he dabbles in the feet. He'll dabble in the clinch, do damage, soften you up, take you down, and then the ground and pound. It's not like a reckless. He's methodical about what he's doing, which I do like. That helps me out getting onto his side here.
I just think Neal's smart enough to extend it a little bit. Are you cool if I go fill my cup up really quick? I'll be
absolutely, man. Just gonna move on to the Shevchenko and Grasso, get us into the co-main event.
Cool.
And
I'll be right back.
We'll dive into it. So, what's going on? No Love, good to see you. Shevchenko 3-round finish is plus 1,000. I'm gonna throw some money on this, dude. I like Shevchenko quite a bit in this fight, to be honest with you. I know how I have a lot of respect for Neal Magny. Probably just as much as I do for Jeff Neal. I think they're not that they're similar, but I just think that they're kind of that same level of, proven toughness in the UFC. Like, you've got more of the offensive tools for Jeff Neal, but Neal Magny is just one of those guys that's going to last. He can hang out in the grappling with a lot of guys. He can hang on the feet with a lot of guys. He's got the physical gifts that kind of match a Shevchenko. And man, he got ran through pretty badly. I know we're seeing like the over the hill part of the career for Neal Magny, but that said a lot to me, so I do like him in this spot. But yeah, all right, you guys, let's move on to the co-main event here. The first championship of the night, women's flyweight with Valentina Shevchenko taking on Alexa Grasso. Another giant favorite here. We got Valentina Shevchenko looking at around minus 625. The favorite, even more on some books. Some of the more greedy books have her like minus 675, but plus 450 for Alexa Grasso, who impressed us in her last fight quite a bit. She took on Viviane Araujo, old Vivian, and was able to use that smooth boxing and box her up. Good cardio, good anti-wrestling. She is very good, and has separated herself at this new weight class. She was formerly at strawweight, but looking good at flyweight, 4-fight winning streak. But the problem is, man, it's like the last fight with Shevchenko was close enough where you're like, man, is she falling off a little bit? Is this about to be the end of the reign for Shevchenko? It almost was. She won that by a split decision after being out-grappled and almost choked out. But you're not going to see that kind of skill set from Alexa Grasso. Like, you're not going to see her having that wrestling success, that strength in the clinch success. You're not going to see her capitalizing on botched takedown attempts from Shevchenko. I think it's going to be a good striker in Alexa Grasso facing a bigger and a better striker in Valentina Shevchenko, who's got way more weapons. And I think this will be another spot where she cruises her way to a pretty decisive victory. What I don't know is if she finishes the fight, So, Dale, what do you think about that? Like, where do you see this fight going? Is Grasso going to pick up the pieces of where Santos, sort of unloosened the jar? Will Grasso open it and get the belt here?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to put it. Sorry, dude, I'm so thirsty. The Zofran's got me like so dried out. Those of you who are watching, I'm not like an athletic. I'm not like playing basketball. This is a seasickness bracelet because I'm wildly nauseous. Anyway, so no, man, it's one of those things where I think you're onto something here. Where I wonder how much Talia Santos shook something loose in Shevchenko. Where do we now, like, when we have people that are relatively immortal and then they get confronted with their own mortality, it either takes them to a next level where they're like godlike, or they just end up falling apart. It'd be interesting to see how Valentina, changes this. Historically speaking, with the losses to Amanda Nunes, she's just gotten better. And I know she beat Santos. So, but again, the brushes with mortality always seem to make her better. I think that, I mean, realistically, she should beat Alexa Grasso. It would really take something.
Was there some ego involved, do you think, with the Shevchenko? Because she saw early on that she, was not as strong as she thought she was in the clinch. She got taken down in round 1, almost submitted. I think that was round 1. And then she went right back to the grappling in like rounds 2 and maybe even rounds 3, and it went poorly each time. Like, why was that, like an ego thing where she thought she could still hang in there and grapple? It wasn't until the very end where she's like, God damn, I need to strike and get this over with.
I don't know, to be honest with you. One of oh boy, one of the insights, one of the only insights I have about the Shevchenko sisters is, obviously their camp isn't really a camp. They just kind of travel from gym to gym. But they are very protective of Valentina as far as who gets to spar with her and who gets to touch her and be around her and everything like that. And that's the same way with Antonina as well. They're very selective about who they test themselves against. And it is my understanding that anybody that's even remotely in their sphere that may potentially one day be an opponent, they will not spar with. So they're getting their looks from people outside of other women in their solar system. So I don't know how much ego comes into play with it. I think that in order to aspire to the level of greatness that Valentina has, you have to be a little bit neurotic. You have to have some ego attached to it, and I expect her to elevate here. But every time I say that, she comes out and she does that little slow counter strike thing where she doesn't do anything. So Grasso's going to have to take the fight to her. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. So
she'll have to make the first mistake.
She has to lead the dance.
Yeah, otherwise Shevchenko does. She will just stand there and just wait for you.
She will.
Be still not bouncing around, just completely flat-footed, waiting for that counter combination.
Yeah, and
I think it's gonna be effective here. But do you think she finishes inside the distance if she gets her game going?
I think she can. I think she
over under 3.5.
I mean,
I think that's where we're looking, right? Are we looking there over under 3.5? Or did I just like that line? Maybe I just like that line.
If violence is trending on the night, I will play under. But if we are having a slow night with very little violence, I will go over, just based on the fact that that energy in the crowd and even amongst the fighters backstage is contagious. So, yeah.
Let's see here. We're looking at the championship fight for the women's strawweight. Over under 4.5. Over 4.5 is plus 120. Under minus 150.
Yeah, just play under. Fuck it. Yeah. Let her rip, Tater Chip. Let her go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I would look at the alternative. Like, I think it at least goes 2.5. I think it would be that way. And the over 2.5 on Bovada right now for this fight is minus 135.
I will say this, and I'm just saying because I see it in the chat, is that they opened up again. I have said that I believe that 2023 is the year of the narrative in the UFC. The Canadian market is dead, and it would appear that the UFC is going to shift focus to Latin America, and in particular Mexico with Brandon Moreno and now Yair Rodriguez, and they just opened up a gigantic UFC PI there. And I believe that last year was the year of the Nigerian champions. All three of them no longer have belts or aren't in the promotion anymore. This is the year of Mexico. We already have 2, and then you've got Grasso fighting for a belt now, and then Henry Cejudo will be fighting Aljamain Sterling here later on in the year. It would stand to reason that we're looking at three Mexican champions at some point in time. Do I believe Grasso is going to be the one? Probably not, but it would be some shit if she was, dude. That would flip everything upside down.
It would have to be just solely like a striking battle, right? Like, is there any way that she's going to shut down the takedown offense that we know is probably going to be coming from Shevchenko?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, that would involve
that's where Grasso's struggled before in the past historically.
Well, that involves Shevchenko walking forward, which she's not going to do. So she's going to have to secure the takedown off of an overcommitment from Grasso from chasing her.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Crusader saying Grasso has value here, in my opinion. What's the line again? Minus 600 for Shevchenko. So that's like an 85% implied, right? It's like 85. So does Grasso have more than a 15% chance of winning this? Probably. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, under 4.5, sure. Shevchenko inside the distance, sure. Accumulation of damage. I mean, she might just swell up Grasso's eye with a jab, and they'll stop women's fights when it gets too ugly for shit they wouldn't normally stop men for. So,
Beach Bum saying, don't sleep on Rena Aldana, and Grasso.
Yeah, Aldana's good too. Yeah.
Yeah. That was supposed to be on this, or was this supposed to be on another card? The Aldana fight with Nunes. When was that? That was supposed to be around this time, right? Or is that coming up soon?
I'm not sure.
I saw that fight wasn't it postponed, or am I making things up here?
What Nunes? Amanda?
Yeah.
Aldana was supposed to fight Amanda Nunes.
Right.
Oh, I missed that completely. Must have been offline that day. I completely missed that.
Maybe I'm just making things up.
I thought we were looking at like Aldana Holly Holm or some bullshit.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Nunes Aldana. Let me look this up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was postponed earlier this year.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, shoot. There we go.
Yeah, I'm looking at a news article from like January. It says this was targeted to be at UFC 285 and will not be happening. Yeah, so okay. I'm not making. Okay, I thought I had just said something really dumb. Like I just had a dream about this. I do dream about fights often. When I'm because I'll be breaking down shit all night and I'll just go to bed for a couple hours before work and then I'm like dreaming about matches. Now they're gonna go that like aren't even in the same weight classes. Like I just go completely insane and my brain melts into a million pieces. But nonetheless, we got 19 live viewers in here. I'm glad you guys are all hanging out with me and Dale. Go check out Dale's links in the description for his YouTube and his Spotify. This guy does amazing work. Not only the best MMA fighter interviews, but also betting content and just general news and banter as well. Awesome podcast he does weekly. So check that out and make sure you find the YouTube channel with his logo on it. The nice shiny one he paid for, not the knockoff one from the guys who stole his good name, those bastards. Yeah. May they burn in hell. But we move on to the main event of the pay-per-view, what everybody's here for. Heavyweight championship lies in the balance. Vacant belt. Baddest man on the planet writes on the line here between Ciryl Gane and Jon Jones. The return of Jon Jones, the greatest of all time, in my opinion, pound for pound ever. Certainly the best light heavyweight that's ever existed. The man, 26 wins, one bullshit DQ loss, one bullshit no contest, and 15-0 in title fights. So, yeah, this guy is now the older man at 35 years old. He's 3 years older than Ciryl Gane. So he's coming back up a weight class, 3-year-long layoff against the younger, stronger, bigger man. I think it's a tough test, but he is still the greatest of all time. And if somebody pulls this off, I think it's Jon Jones. Dale, what do you think about this matchup? How excited are you for this one in the grand scheme of like excitement for a pay-per-view main event?
The grand scheme of pay-per-view main event. Oh,
yeah, like in the past year or so. Like, has there been a more exciting fight than this one? To be honest, like as far as question marks go,
I would love it if it was more organic. I hate that it comes at the cost of Francis not being in the promotion anymore.
This is kind of the plan B, right? Plan A was Ngannou Jones for a long time,
right? But I think the sport's better. I think the sport's better with active heels or champions, with stars. For lack of a better way to put it, I mean, Jon Jones is a star, and even if it's only because you hate him. And I think the promotion in the sport's better with the more stars that we can get, and the UFC's lacking star power right now. So if Jon Jones can come out and do what he should do, and if he definitely does, if he does it with emphatic, if he does it emphatically, I think it does really well for the heavyweight division, which admittedly has been pretty stale, man. It really is tough to get people fired up about the story of heavyweight outside of having. It's one of the only men's divisions where novelty still exists, right? That's why Derek Lewis still main events, right? Just knockout power, right? You can still have novelty and be successful.
And why is that, right? Because I think if you're a big guy, especially in this country, I don't know, but you're going to football. You're going to something where you can make money. If you have the God-given genetics to be a giant man who can still be lean at a giant frame, fast, explosive, long reach, you're going to be doing something that's more lucrative than MMA. I think that's really why that happens, right? We're probably going to be seeing more as this sport grows. More freak athletes come in the heavyweight division, I would assume.
I would think it would make more sense for you to come over to MMA than it would to try to even pursue football or basketball or anything like that. It makes statistically, and people gave Sean Strickland, because he's generally stupid about things, a lot of shit for this. You're statistically more likely to come over and be a professional fighter than you are to go to the NFL. It's just amount of participants versus available roster spots. You're more likely.
But the grand prize is not there, right? Like it's not. And also, this sport's not in high schools. It's not in. I mean, you can have pieces of it, but like you're going to be playing football from a young age. You can do that in middle school, high school, go to college. There's like a path, and there's a big prize at the end, and nobody's really pushing you to get punched in the face just because you're tall when you're a kid, right?
That's true. I guess it might like so.
I would love it if it was true. I hate that this exists, and I hope that
right.
we get more of the genetic freaks of the population here.
Well, I mean, obviously, I know lifting is your deal, right? But outside of your athletic history, just speaking in generalities, as a person who aspired to play Division I basketball, at a certain reality creeps in after a while when you don't get Division I sponsorship opportunities. You realize you're not going to play D1, and then you're like, well, can I play D2? Can I play D3? Can I walk on somewhere? That's where that sort of shakes out. And most people of any sort of real self-assessment, which I believe most athletes do have, you realize what you can and can't do. I mean, Eric Anders, case in point, national champion linebacker twice over for Alabama, not playing in the NFL. So what did he do? I'm going to take up mixed martial arts. You know what I mean? Like literally was like, I have accurate self-awareness here. I don't even know how we got here. I think that John Jones wins this fight, man. I think he's got all the skills and tools to beat Cyril Gane. The only X factor in this is whether or not he's gotten the proper reps against the proper heavyweights that are going to show him what a real heavyweight fight is like.
Yeah, I mean, and both of these guys, Cyril Gane and John Jones, are very hard to emulate in a training camp, right? Like it's hard to find a guy like Gane who can switch stances, do equally well with both, move so freely as such a big guy. And John Jones, man, he's a guy where he's kind of like Anthony Pettis in a way where he practices those unorthodox moves. It looks like totally improvised when he does things, but I remember the lead up to the Rashad Evans fight back in the day, where Rashad Evans used to train with John Jones. And he said that he had like an actual notebook of like all little moves that were like nobody had ever seen before that he would practice. Right. And that when Rashad Evans went to go dap him up in the locker room, he covered up the book real fast, put it away. He didn't want him to see it in case they fought someday. That was a big narrative there. Dude, the first time I saw John Jones fight in person, I had no idea who he was because it was his fight against Stephan Bonner. It was his second fight.
Okay.
And all I knew was that Stephan Bonner was fucking fighting, and he was, Stephan Bonner's going to play the zombie, just brawl this lanky guy I'm like, oh, did they typo his reach? That's a oddly long reach, but Stephan Bonner had like an 80-inch reach too, I believe. But it was very quickly apparent that Stephan Bonner, man, he was just getting ragdolled around. Yeah, that was probably John Jones' like best wrestling performance, just hitting lateral drops and head and arm throws and just whipping him around like a madman. That spinning elbow that flattened him. But that was my first time seeing John Jones. I had no idea who he was until I actually went up to the arena. And it's been impressive ever since. I'm on the Cyril Gane side here, but it's like my lowest confident pick. I'm not betting this fight. There's so many. Why this fight is entertaining, why any fight is entertaining to watch, is because there's question marks, right? You don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
The long layup for John Jones, the moving up a weight class, never really bodes well at this level. And I think Cyril Gane is good enough and patient enough. I think he's going to be faster in the octagon. I really do think he's going to be faster as well. And kind of like we're talking about with Shevchenko, how she doesn't do anything until she's engaged. Cyril Gane's very similar, right? Like he's going to be okay to poke from the outside, poke and prod at your leg with the leg kicks, feint at you, hit you with that long jab, bounce around. And I'm sure John Jones will be the man advancing in this fight. I think Cyril Gane will concede and always be backing up and circling off the fence and hitting leg kicks and trying to dart in. I just think this is going to be tough. All of historically John Jones' toughest fights that were like his least spectacular performances were against guys that could match his height and his reach. I think that's what, we're talking Gustafsson. We're talking Thiago Santos. We're talking OSP even at that to some extent. We're talking Reyes in the last fight that was incredibly close. But one thing I do like from Jon Jones is he does dig deep. In contrary to all of these guys that have not been in real fights that we've talked about in the prelims all the way up, this guy has managed to know that he's kind of in an iffy fight going into the 5th round, and he pulls it off time and time again. So Cyril Gane, the one time he needed to do that against Francis Ngannou, he really didn't do that, right? He didn't really pull it off when he needed to.
Sure.
That I don't like. But plus money on the bigger guy at his natural weight class, younger man, I think will be the faster man. I think will hit harder. I don't know if Jon Jones is going to take all of the risks that he normally did. I think we might see pieces of it. I think we'll see flashes of old Jon Jones, but I think ultimately most of the fight will just be Cyril Gane just controlling and just outscoring him from the outside. Will Jon Jones wrestle? That's a question too. But my question is, when will he wrestle? Because even in the Reyes fight, he's not wrestling until later in the fight when Reyes slows down.
Sure.
It might be too late against Cyril Gane to figure out if you're strong enough to take him down if he, So I don't know. I'm on the Gane side at plus money, but I don't have any action on this one. I have some like multi-event parlays from Makhachev to I don't know. I think even maybe Rakhmonov's on there. Maybe who's fighting Gilbert Burns, I think, is on there as well. I got like a bunch of like these big favorites that I think are going to crush. And then I put Cyril Gane in there just as like beef that up a little bit.
Bring it to reality,
yeah. So it's maybe like less than a unit of investment across those, but that's all I got. I can't touch this fight. I don't know. I would lean the overs in this fight would be my surest bet, but yeah, that's interesting.
I got when it was first announced, I got Jones at minus 105 because it was initially announced and it was like pick 'em for like a day, and then it just flew onto the Jones side, which is fine. I think there's 3 logical outcomes here, or 3 likely outcomes. 33% chance implied probability with all of these here. Option number 1 would be Jon Jones tactical wrestling. He does the hand fighting, the grabbing, the parry, and the jab over the top, closes the distance, secures the takedown, rinse and repeat, like we saw with Francis Ngannou. With Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou, what was not troublesome to me was not that Francis took him down, was that Cyril Gane could not get back up. He just can't. He had no idea how to get back up. So tactical Jon Jones is interesting. Option A. Option B, Cyril Gane shows him what a real heavyweight fight is like. Starts working on the legs, inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks. Dampens the ability to have a move. And we look at a late championship round finish, or something like with the Magomed Ankalaev Jan Blachowicz fight, where every time we touch the leg starts to hurt real bad, and we're just trying to work around that, and we get a decision. Or 3, we get Jon Jones versus Rashad, or Yoel versus Izzy, and we got people just staring at each other, and we're doing bullshit shadow boxing picture taking for 25 minutes.
Sorry, who'd you say versus Rashad?
Jon Jones versus Rashad.
Yeah,
those two fought like they had sparred each other a million times, and then they just fought like they were sparring. Like they never hit the go button.
Been a while since I've seen that fight. I remember one exciting moment because I liked everybody that Jon Jones fought early on. Like I was a big fan of. I was waiting for this guy's downfall every step of the way because it was all my favorites. It was from Shogun. It was from Rashad to Quinton to Lyoto Machida, Vitor. I mean, it was like everybody, man. Dan Henderson was supposed to fight him, and that fell apart. And that's why Vitor did. But I remember Rashad Evans hit him with was it a high kick? A high kick in like round 1 that was like it was like the first time we saw him like wobbled, and then it all went downhill from there. The way you're talking about, I don't know.
I think. Yeah. I mean, again, it just if we're betting against Jon Jones,
hey, let's go, William.
If you're betting against Jon Jones, you're betting on him doing something that he's never done before. I mean, all we've ever seen the guy do is win, and do so, with relative ease, minus Gus 1 and minus the Reyes fight. But I mean, you're talking about, how many fights does he have? Like damn near 30 at this point, and 2 tough fights. Historically speaking, statistically speaking, he's going to win this one walking away. Now, 3 years off, up a weight class, against a guy who's younger and stronger and faster. Okay. The telling thing will be face-offs. Let's see what they look like up against one another.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Because do you get the Instagram filtered, deadlifting 650 pounds, John Jones, like where he looks like Zeusian, or do you get, the video that we just showed, or they just showed with him dancing with Walt Harris, where it looks like he hasn't done, he hasn't worked his legs at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that was terrifying. If you saw that video and you look at John Jones' legs, you're real nervous coming this Saturday. Like those legs have not grown with the upper part of that heavyweight frame.
No, and that's hard to do for John Jones. Like that might just be a genetic thing for him, but you know what I mean. He's not going to look. He's not going to look like a real like carved up heavyweight like Cyril Gane. He'll just look like just a blown up like a 205 that hasn't gone through a weight cut probably. But I'm interested to see what he weighs in at. Does he weigh close to 240? Is he 235?
Where do you think?
Is he more than that?
What would you put the over under at for his weight?
Oh man, is he at like 237 and a half?
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. You should do a poll. You should do a poll on the weight. See what the folks think. I'd be interested to see where the general public lies on that.
Yeah, I mean, so your bet is on Jones.
I'm on Jones because I got a sweet line.
Minus
as soon as
105.
it was a sweet line. Now this,
I know that you put things in palpable units for people. What's your like commitment level on that? If you don't mind sharing, like what's
5?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I just
5 units, 5%, something in that range. I like that. I mean, look, I'm not touching this fight. Besides those, just like the degen long-term shit that I did. I don't count that as a real bet. It's like barely a unit, but yeah, I can't bet on this. If I had to lay a bet, if you had to tell me to put a bet on this, it would be the over 4.5. But even that is dicey in a 5-round heavyweight fight. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But between these two, they've never been finished, either of them. So, look, I'm not going to get in the way of greatness. I think John Jones, for history's sake, I hope he wins, just so that we could, I like dominant champions, and nobody's more dominant than John Jones. That'll be awesome to see him be committed to the heavyweight division, like be, in there as like the main guy that people have to go up against. That would make some fun fights.
Let me ask you this. They've got Sergey Pavlovich as the alternate in case somebody drops. Do you think?
Do they really?
Yeah. Do you think Pavlovich is an easier or tougher fight for either one of these guys?
Oh God. I mean, that's a tough one, man. I'd say round 1, he's tougher than both of these guys. But after that, if you can survive that, then I think it's, it's going to be the easiest fight you've had, you know what I mean? Like it would be after round 1, it's easier than both of these guys. But in round 1, that is a problem of a guy because he matches both their reach. He seems to be fearless and very risk taking too.
Yeah.
So he can turn it into a 50-50 heavyweight fight real fast.
Yeah.
But probably not for more than 5 minutes.
Pavlovich should change his name to Cocaine Bear. I think that would be a more fitting nickname for him because he's like a deadly apex predator for like 7 minutes, and then it's all downhill after that.
And he's white as the driven snow, that's
true.
You could say. No,
that is true.
Pun intended. But
so the cocaine would work. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
All right, you guys, and Dale, going through this whole card, all 14 fights, you did give out a couple of your biggest picks for like which parlay pieces on this card, because I'm sure a lot of people are parlaying shit on this card.
Sure.
You gave out Damon Blackshear, you think has really got a chance to upset here as a big plus money underdog. We both like the Mana Martinez side as a moderate, a pretty big underdog as well at plus 250. And you're looking at Jeff Neal has got inherent value at plus 375. I think he's at. So those are your spots there to be careful of. I'm not heeding your warning on that one. I've parlayed up Shevchenko and Rakhmonov. That's my like chalk parlay of this card.
Yeah.
But I definitely see value on Jeff Neal just by itself. So, man, what's your favorite play of this entire thing? All 14 fights. What's your favorite play?
Trevin Jones by knockout.
Ooh, I like that. Going with that narrative that Cody Garbrandt's chin is gone. Maybe he'll carry that sucked out flyweight chin into the octagon come Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that as well.
I like Trevin Jones, man. I like him by knockout. I cannot bet against. It's 2023. I can't bet on Cody Garbrandt at all.
No, certainly not.
Trevin Jones inside the distance plus 300. Trevin Jones wins in round 1 plus 525. I mean, go ahead. I mean, I as far as plus 300 and above dogs, big dogs that I like, Damon Blackshear, Mana Martinez, and Jeff Neal are all worth consideration. The only one I legitimately have a play on is Damon Blackshear. But if you're asking for high confidence plays on this card, Trevin Jones by knockout.
I like that a lot, man. Yeah, the only money lines I have so far are the Marc-Andre Barriault. I've got Viviane Araujo as a slight dog. Mana Martinez is a dog. Mateusz Gamrot ahead of that minus 175. I'm not sure if I would touch that now, to be fair, just because the money line is blown up a bit and he is on short notice. But those are the spots I do have. I have parlayed up Shevchenko and Rakhmonov. I think they both do get their hand raised. But, man, it's been a pleasure having you, Dale. This has been an awesome pay-per-view edition stream, getting you on here for the first time. I know I'll be on your show next week. For the next pay-per-view, UFC
March 11th. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So a couple of weeks from now. And, man, the floor is yours for telling the people what you got going on.
Okay. Oh, I appreciate it. So for starters, I am under the weather today. So you're not getting me at 1,000% energy. So I will rectify that for 286. And if you ever want to run this back, let me know and I will come in.
Oh, we will. We certainly will.
With some vitamin C in me because I'm a little under the weather today. That being said, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on. Something we've been in the works. It's been in the works for a long time. So thank you. I'm not a big advocator for marketing for myself, but if you want to follow on Twitter at Punchlist MMA, do so. I'm on Instagram, but I can't post there because my account's locked because I post memes that the government doesn't like. So I'm not really that guy. And yeah, I mean, YouTube channel is what it is. I live stream because StreamYard lets me do it. Not necessarily because it's my main focus. I prefer if you download it on iTunes or Spotify. I'm more on the audio side of things. And my show is not for everyone. It's actually not even for most people. But if you get it, and you're there forever. So if not, that's good. Thanks for already following, Shady. Appreciate that. All right, guys. That's really, I don't have a whole lot of self-promotion for me at Punchlist MMA everywhere. And thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to come on, man. You've been great as always. We knew it was going to go that way. So,
of course, man. One of my favorite people to talk shit to, and always got good opinions and good bets as well. You mix the casual style of being able to know something well enough to explain it simply. You know what I mean? Not having to go over the top with it and get information out there. Ryan, good to see you. My guy, Ryan Jordan. Appreciate you too. Everybody in the live chat, all 16 of you, enjoy the fights this weekend. I will be back on this channel tomorrow at 8:30 Central Time for the panel I co-host with the Couch Warrior podcast. My guy, Mike, we're bringing in Uncle Weezy and Ben the Bane Davis. So it should be an interesting four-way dance we got tomorrow night. So I'll see you guys then. Good luck and enjoy the fights. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Cheers.
See you guys.